County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Thursday to everybody out there in America's finest city. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Alongside Frank Marchese, we're off and running here on a Thursday, talking a lot of Padres baseball still. We'll dive more into the NFL, some college football. No Skylar today. Does that girl have unlimited vacation or what?
Well, when you have an airplane, yes, you
She does not own the airplane. She rents said airplanes.
Well, when you have access to it.
Have you talked to her about flying yet? I mean, you're the guy that likes planes and stuff. I mean, I feel like that's right up your alley.
Don't make fun of me.
I'm not making fun of you.
Don't make.
At any point was that making fun of you?
Don't make fun of
If
the
I would have
fact
mentioned something about trains, it would have been making fun of you. But
Okay,
the planes is
now-
off limits.
Now you're making
I am,
fun. Now
because
you're
you
making
asked me
fun of
to.
the fact that I'm artistic.
No, I'm making fun of you because you said I was, and I wasn't. And you know what? I got offended by that. So now I am going to make fun of you.
Just because I could draw, it doesn't mean I have to like these things. I do, but it's not because I know how to draw.
We were setting up our stuff at Baja Ricks, and BNSF's train fired its horn, and you dropped everything and ran to the train tracks.
I might have done, but
That's exactly what he did. I'm not even exaggerating about that. Frank said, I'm about to be not helpful. And
Like
I said, what? And then I heard the train noise, and then Frank disappeared. And I'm like, where did he go? And it wasn't even a long train. It was just two of the, I don't know, what's the locomotives?
yeah.
Two of the locomotives, BNSF. I thought I was going to get the whole BNSF supply chain management class that I got in college when they came to talk to my class.
Like I said, just because I know how to draw doesn't mean I have to like these things. It's a coincidence that I do.
Okay. Well, I was asking you if you have talked to Skylar about her flights
No,
since she's trying to become
no,
a pilot.
I have asked how much it was, and
And then you quickly stopped talking about it.
yes, yeah,
It is very expensive to become a pilot, as we've learned by talking to Skylar about it.
worth. It's for a reason.
Yeah, I
for
bet.
a very good reason.
Yeah, probably
but-
can't just throw a bunch of people in a plane.
No,
Have at it.
I wish there was I would be up for the training course of, hey, I've done this in a video game. Let me see if I don't kill myself. I would be up for that course. Maybe my skills will bypass the amount of money I will need.
You know what? I would love to do that in college football.
However,
What do we got?
remember we're not on the phone lines.
Okay. That's right. Anyway, that's not what I was talking about. I was talking more about the college picks have now been delayed because
Yes.
somebody's got endless vacation, apparently. I don't know where she's at this time. It's always exotic locations, by the way. Have you noticed that? Do you follow on her Instagram?
No, I do not. I should,
It is
though.
all exotic locations. Some type of snorkeling, some type of something to do with animals. I think she's been in Hawaii 15 times since we started having her on the show.
That's a way to
Nice.
do
Sound
it.
that, yeah. Hey. Or here's another one. She could be in Tuscaloosa this weekend. She does have season tickets to Alabama football. They are playing the Tennessee Volunteers. That could be what it is.
New rule I've just decided.
What's the new rule?
Whoever wins the picks gets a free shuttle by Skylar to a nearby location.
I don't know if I'm jumping in an airplane that small. I've thought about it. I've been invited before.
Winner of the picks gets a flight somewhere.
What if it's her? She just gets to fly herself?
Well, yeah, it makes it easier now, doesn't it?
She could produce the show one day.
I could fly her.
No, I don't think that works like that. I don't think it's like when you're learning how to drive as a kid.
I take it
and you get to-
seriously.
and then she's like, there's not like the trainer pilot where they have like brakes on the other side.
I will.
like in driver's
I
ed.
will take it seriously.
Nobody said you wouldn't. I don't think it works like that. I don't think you can just be like, hey, my turn. Let's call in a reliever. Let's fly this plane.
They do have controls on both sides.
I'm just saying.
They have controls
I
on
don't
both
think
sides.
they're going to flip it over to your side.
It's not necessarily flipping. It's they both move at the same time. So it's just one person.
So she's going to fly, and then you're going to pretend like you're flying.
Then she just stops, and then I'm the one doing barrel rolls and stuff. I'm kidding.
Barrel rolls.
I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
kidding.
definitely not going to be allowed to fly one of those Cestas. There's no way anybody, because all those are rented. So people own them, and then you sign up to rent them. I forget how much money it costs. It sounded very expensive.
Yeah.
It's a very expensive hobby, by the way.
Well, it's not.
I play softball
it's not
as a hobby.
It's not a hobby unless you're looking at a job in said hobby.
There's a lot of people that use it as a hobby. They just want to fly planes. You know what? That's a very expensive hobby.
That would be me.
Yeah, that would be you. So when you strike it rich, we're going to see Frank flying all over the place as a very expensive hobby. Some people spend $300 on softball bats. Some people spend thousands of dollars for flight lessons.
A lot of people see there's a lot of room over here for a flight strip. I can get a Cessna like right in here, stop in this next studio over here, and then just walk right in.
Don't give any of the planes that are flying over us right now any ideas.
No, please don't.
One of them just landed on the 15,
yes,
like, what was it, last week, 2 weeks ago?
Yes, I saw that.
I just missed it. I had already left for work. That was one of the days we were off early, I think. Because it happened around the time I usually was driving home from work. I think that was one of the days that the Padres played the Cubs during our show, and we had to leave early.
Yeah, it might have been. That was lucky. Lucky on our part.
Lucky on my part. Probably unlucky for you at this point in time.
Well, where was it? Where on the 15 was it? Because it depends.
Right. It was right here by Tirisana or whatever.
It would make sense. The airport's right here.
Yeah, that would make sense, Frank.
Call it Aero Drive for a reason.
Yeah, that's why it's called Aero Drive. There's also another airport off the 52, too. Gillespie. Got Montgomery and Gillespie. There's a lot of little airports around here.
Yeah, this is the same one that you see on the 163, too, no?
Montgomery's the one right here.
Yeah.
The one that the planes come flying by. I'm surprised you don't have the windows open all the time to see how the planes fly by. I guess you'd be highly distracted.
Thank you. It's I would have it'd be the Scraby thing.
Wow, it is raining really hard. This is being cool here on the Entercom Empire. So if you're sitting out there,
what? That's going to be Frank, but with airplanes.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, that happens like every 15 minutes. There's a plane flying over us. No, you're distracted. Did that happen?
When I was looking for the craft taco at the Nat?
That's right. I forgot about that. The meerkat poster got you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't be a pilot. I guess up there's not a lot of things to be distracted by, to be honest with you. Anyway, as I was trying to, speaking of distractions, now I've gone off on a tangent about Frank and planes, trains, and automobiles. Great movie, by the way. About our college picks coming up later on. No Skylar today. So I'm gonna and I have to get these picks down and then send them to her so she can send them back to us from whatever exotic location she is at. I mean, well, who used to do that? Al Roker used to do like "Where in the World is Al" or something like that on the Today Show. I think he did. We have to start doing that with Skylar. She can just make her picks remotely from some crazy place. This is like the third time that she's missed because she's been on vacation. She better be at one of these games. That's what I'm saying. We got the third Saturday in October, and Skylar's in the Bahamas or something like that. I'm going to be a little PO'd. That's a sure sign that, you know what? Someone's not locked into the Tide. That's all I got to say. If that's the case, somebody's not locked into the Tide, which means that's going to be a Tennessee Volunteers win on Saturday. I'm sorry, Rod. Cry in your beer, but that's on Skylar, if that's the case. Now, if she's in Tuscaloosa, you got a good chance. All right. We're going to do our college picks at 1. Eddie Brown's moving up to 12:35 today because special guest at 1:35, Andres Dreyer, San Diego FC winger, is going to join the show.
It's expected to join.
He's
not
expected
official
to join. Okay.
Because he is returning from international duty. So we've been asked to hold 1:30, anticipating, but it's not locked in. So there is a chance he might not be here at 1:30.
It's on the sheet, man.
It is on the sheet.
It's on the sheet. Elo got mad at what happened yesterday with the interview with the Aztec coach. they didn't put his name down, so Elo pulled a Ron Burgundy and had to look at
Oh God.
had to look at Tony whose name was. Anyway, Andres Dreyer could be on the show, could not be on the show. If not, then we're gonna have Frank pretend he's Andres Dreyer. That's what we're going to do. We'll talk San Diego FC at 1:35. And in between, obviously, a lot of Padres baseball. And the thing is, and I didn't want to spend too much time on it in the open because we're going to talk about it when we come back. It's intriguing to me. Now you're going to see a lot of tweets. Do we know about, is Mike Rodriguez, he's got a lot of followers. Yeah, he's got 24,000, almost 25,000 followers based out of Chicago, Illinois. Okay, I've seen his stuff before. He tweeted out, and I don't know, I'm not saying this is true, but now it's interesting. Now you could talk about the candidacy maybe of Albert Pujols, but he said, according to his sources, again, take this for what it's worth. Mike Deportes on Twitter put this out. He's got a lot of followers. Can't really trust the check marks anymore. I'm just saying he's tweeting this out, and then therefore we're not saying it's happening, but we're going to say, what would it be like if this happened? Could this be a candidate? Anyway, he says, according to his sources, the Padres have called future Hall of Famer Albert Pujols with interest in interviewing him for the team's manager position. That's what he has said. I don't know if that's a fact or not, but if that's the case, and I know a lot of people have talked about Albert Pujols potentially being a candidate. We know about him interviewing with the Angels, obviously being a employee right now of the Angels. It's interesting to see what would be the case. Now, here's the other thing. Robert Murray posted this. Now, Robert Murray, he does have the check mark. We know about Robert Murray. Robert Murray is an MLB insider for Fansided. He tweeted this. Yadier Molina ready to return to baseball as either manager or coach, he said on his Instagram, with a post from Yadi's Instagram. Yadi's Instagram story today. Throughout my career, I've had countless satisfactions both on and off the field. After 3 years away from the lines, I'm ready to return to the field, whether as a coach or manager. In Major League Baseball, Mexico, or wherever, I could continue my baseball career, contributing and giving back to the sport I'm passionate about. Interesting. That's very interesting. Albert Pujols, Yadier Molina. One or the other for the Padres? Maybe both. We'll discuss when we come back. Just getting started on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. All guests on 97 through the Fan join us via the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. Facing criminal charges, trust David P. Shapiro criminal defense attorneys, helping clients regain control since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local, each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. I did see somebody put in there. Any white smoke yet coming out of Petco Park? Someone who the new manager of the Padres is? Probably not. But we got the report about Albert Pujols, potentially. Saw that report. I think a lot of people were listing him as a potential candidate for the Padres, just like he's a potential candidate for the Angels. And then not too much further after that, Yadier Molina posted on his Instagram that he's ready to return to the baseball field, to the baseball diamond, as either a coach or a manager. Let's talk about these two things for a second. I think Albert Pujols would be a great candidate for the San Diego Padres to be their manager for a couple of reasons. Okay? Number one, and I think the biggest thing. Now, we've talked about the entire needing to have the situation of maybe a more veteran manager. Now, he obviously wouldn't be that. But to me, the entire thing about a veteran manager is somebody that demands respect out of veteran players. Because I don't think you could go down the path of another Jace Tingler as a manager for the Padres. I think that's fair to say. Correct, Frank? Are we on the same page with that? You can't bring in another
100%.
Jace Tingler. Ryan Flaherty, as smart of a guy he is, and how great of a baseball mind he might be, he gives me Jace Tingler vibes. He does. And you know what? That doesn't mean he's not going to go somewhere and have success. I think he might have success. He is well talked about throughout Major League Baseball, but that doesn't necessarily mean it translates to being a head coach, to being a manager. You see it a lot with offensive and defensive coordinators in football. They're brilliant football minds. All of them are brilliant. As much as everybody likes to destroy NFL head coaches that don't have success, they're all brilliant offensive and defensive coordinators. You can't say anything against that. Now, I have my thoughts about Kellen Moore. I think he might, be a little different than that. But that being said, I mean, think about let's talk like Aaron Glenn, right? He's like one of the worst. Right now, it's like he looks awful as the head coach of the Jets. Correct? Aaron Glenn, stud defensive coordinator for the Lions the last handful of years.
It's the Jets. That's a no-win situation.
The only one that has had success with the Jets has been Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan got a tattoo. Mark Sanchez on himself. Or his wife did. And all of a sudden, it broke the Jets curse. I can't remember that. Remember that tattoo?
Yeah, and
was it his wife that had it, or did he have it?
How's that tattoo aging?
Oh, man.
By the way.
That's not great. That's not great. So anyway, Ryan Flaherty could be a great baseball man, but not necessarily a big or a good manager. I don't feel like right now the Padres could take a risk on that. There's another way that you could view Ryan Flaherty, too. Like, he could be one of those guys that was part of the organization you liked, went somewhere else to learn how a different team does things, and then comes back. I think that has a lot of success, too. But to me, I don't think the Padres can afford to hire a guy like Ryan Flaherty right now with their aging veterans, with the way the team is built up and the makeup is. So he, to me, is part of that no managerial experience, bad. But I would say, and I've been saying this all week, have I not, Frank? I've been saying this all week. The inexperience at manager, I think respect overtakes that. That's why a guy like Ruben Niebla, to me, makes sense to being the manager, keeping things a little consistent, having him run the team. Players adore him. Players love him. Perfect. I think that's a nice play. He doesn't have any managerial experience. That's fine. I think his respect, the respect he commands in that clubhouse, overtakes the lack of managerial experience. So I lump in Albert Pujols as another one of those players or one of those managerial candidates. And I say this because of the career that Albert Pujols had and the resume that Albert Pujols has. And he's the player that was at the top of his game when this current team, even the old guys, and I say old, I mean, they're like 30-something years old. It's not even old in the grand scheme of things. He was at the top of his game when these guys were growing up watching baseball. Are you telling me Albert Pujols walks into the clubhouse and guys like Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts and Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jackson Merrill don't all immediately just respect him? He is somebody that's going to demand respect. Now, the X's and O's, everything like that, I mean, most of these decisions now are made from an analytical standpoint. I don't think that needs to be the case. Managing in baseball is about managing the culture and managing the personalities in your clubhouse. I think every player in that clubhouse would automatically respect a guy like Albert Pujols. He is a first ballot Hall of Fame, future first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think too many people can argue with that. I mean, there's going to be a couple people that vote on the Hall of Fame that just, don't want to make anybody unanimous. So they intentionally don't vote for a guy like Albert Pujols, which to me is crazy. But he is a future first ballot Hall of Famer, Albert Pujols. How many times have we seen like Fernando Tatis Jr. get into a slump? He's got to go talk to his dad. Doesn't talk to the hitting coach. You don't think he won't listen to Albert Pujols? You may not think that Albert Pujols can, help Fernando out when he goes through a slump? Help Manny out when going through a slump? I mean, the back of his baseball card, which I know tickles the fancy of a lot of older listeners more than the younger ones. Younger ones roll their eyes at back of the baseball card. Older listeners love it. This guy had a 22-year career in Major League Baseball. Made the All-Star team 11 times. 2-time World Series champion. He was the Rookie of the Year, 3-time MVP, 2-time Gold Glove, 3-time Major League Player of the Year, won the Roberto Clemente Award, 6-time Silver Slugger, a batting title, NLCS MVP. I mean, the guy's done it all. I'm telling you, he would be well respected. I'd put him near the top of candidates that are outside candidates to be a major league manager for the San Diego Padres. And we haven't even gotten to Yadier Molina yet. I think Yadier Molina would be pretty good, too. I think he'd hold the guys accountable. And I think Yadier Molina is another player that hasn't managed yet that would demand respect in the clubhouse, demand respect in the organization. He played in the league for 19 years. A lot of these players played against him in Major League Baseball. Another one of those guys. Been there, done that. I'd like to see him as a manager too, but would be even better. Albert Pujols being a manager, Yadier Molina being his bench coach. You could continue with that, quote, cardinal way if you would like. I mean, you could say what you want if it was, if it didn't work or not. But to me, with Mike Schilt at the helm, the Padres had won 183 games in the regular season. That strikes me as some success. I'm sure he instilled some cardinal way with that. But now you got some guys that have played the game a little bit and know what these guys are going through with contracts and know what these guys are going through in this generation of baseball. I mean, they were part of that transition period into the high slug and the home run numbers. I could see this to me would be a big splash, outside the box thinking from the Padres. And I think it would be great for this Padres team. And if you're Albert Pujols and you're Yadier Molina, why not start off being a manager or a bench coach or vice versa on some teams that have success. I mean, look at all the teams that are out there that are looking for a manager right now. Why wouldn't you want to manage the San Diego Padres from a player perspective, atmosphere, everything like that? It's not like you have to go through the grind and have to restart a culture. I mean, think about all the catchers out there that have been great managers in the past. Yadier Molina could be there as a bench coach, ease his way back in, and then go manage whoever he wants later. I mean, I think a lot of Padres fans wouldn't like to see him go if he had success for 2 years, but you know what? That's the risk you take. And if it gets you a World Series, so be it. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I like the idea. And in the 11 o'clock hour, I'll put together my 5 candidates that I'd like to see the Padres interview. But when we come back, we'll discuss Albert Pujols or Yadier Molina, or both. I think that's the outside of the box thinking the Padres need right now with this current team as they start looking for a manager for their ball club. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Someone Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. $10:35 on the Braden Surprenant Show, Standing Someone Sports Station 97.3. The Fan, talking a little bit about some of the recent news that we saw today. We noticed that the Padres potentially have contacted, this is being reported, but who knows, Albert Pujols about the job. Now, there's a couple other things. We did get this, if you want to go back in the past, I know they play that song. A turn back time. I'm Gwen and Chris. They got that drop somewhere. Just anytime Ello talks about something. Get in your DeLorean. Which, by the way, good on the goals for using the DeLorean for the 2-minute hype reel to bring back Sandy, the goal, for their throwback uniforms. They got the throwback mascot and they got the throwback uniforms this weekend. Are you kidding me? That's pretty great. This is from Sam Levitt. Albert Pujols was at Petco Park on September 16th, 2024. Spent time chatting with Mike Schilt, who also spent many years with the St. Louis Cardinals organization. And some backstory from Sammy Lev. Again, back on September 16th, 2024. Albert Pujols' daughter, Esther, was celebrating her birthday in San Diego to see one of her favorite players, Manny Machado. Machado gifted her a signed jersey and batting gloves. Manny Machado is his daughter's favorite player. Let's just roll into that a little bit, huh? Why not? Why not go manage? Well, you know what? Be great to manage his daughter's favorite player, wouldn't it, Frank?
You'd think it would be nice,
I think that's a little bit more enticing than having to take over the circus that's the Los Angeles Angels of Fullerton, Orange County, San Clemente, San Juan Capistrano, Dana Point.
Disneyland.
The Mouse.
Anaheim.
Still mad at the Mouse this weekend. Well, that reminds me. There'll be a TCU helmet unveil in the next 24 hours or so. And I'm going to be excited and then sad that I didn't get to watch it in person because of said Mouse. All right. That was my sidetrack of the day.
Squirrel!
There you go. I like the Pujols idea. I think in a perfect world, Pujols as the manager and Yadier Molina as a bench coach, to me, might be one of the best options for the Padres coaching staff moving forward. Now, whether or not they keep some of the other guys, the coaching staff remains to be seen. Does Ruben Niebla stay as a pitching coach? Remains to be seen. We'll see. But I don't mind that idea, Frank, when in the early process of trying to figure out who's going to be the next manager of the San Diego Padres. What are your thoughts on Yadier Molina and Albert Pujols together? What are your thoughts on just maybe one of those guys coming in?
I'd say together, I think would be
The best.
The best option. They both played together, so they both know each other's temperaments. They both know how to handle each other and how to work with each other. If you could get just one, me personally, I would rather Yachty if you can get only one. I think Yachty would be a little bit more, not, I don't know how to say this.
Be careful.
He would command a little bit more respect immediately, I think, with how long he was in the game, with the position that he played. Catcher, especially out of the pitching staff, they would respect the hell out of him instantly, because he has to know pitching just as well as the pitchers do in order to play his position to the best of his ability. And he was the best catcher in the league for a very, very long time. Loyalty with him as well. Stayed with the Cardinals his entire career. I would have to assume he'd be looking to stay here on a long-term stint as well. I think if you could only have one, I would prefer Yachty over Pujols, but I think both of them would do the same job. I think Yachty would be a little bit better, though.
I think Yachty might be a little bit better, too. I do not think that Yachty would get more respect than Pujols. I think it's equal. I mean, Pujols he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, future first ballot Hall of Famer.
They both are.
Correct. But, I mean, I don't know why the catching situation would make it more respectable. Why? Because he's a little bit hotter? Like, I mean, he runs hot.
No,
he runs hot.
Because again, I think with what he has to go through, not just for his position, but with the pitching staff as well, he does need to be in on like outfield alignments for pitches he's calling, infield alignments for pitches he's calling in the middle of a game.
Now you're describing everything that would make him a better strategic manager.
Yes.
Those are not things that would demand more respect out of veteran players.
No, it's also he knows what I have to do in a certain situation. He knows where I have to be, and he may know a little bit better than I do in some instances from all positions on the field. And as the pitching staff goes, he knows as a catcher, he would know how to get the best out of me and help the catchers get the best out of me that he could possibly get.
Right. I think they're at the same in terms of respect level. To me is, what did you do in the game?
I mean,
what's your numbers?
How
did you carry yourself? I mean, that's the respect.
If respect is the hang up, then it's Yachty's at 100, Pujols is at a 99.99999. It's not like I would respect Pujols way more. I'd respect them both, but I think because Yachty has to know a little bit about everything and everyone and how to get the best out of everyone, I think that would give him just a hair more respect than Albert Pujols. That's just the way I would personally look at it.
Interesting. I think to me, like, your best chance of getting one of these guys to be a manager, if you're going to have both, it has to be Pujols because he's getting other looks at manager somewhere else. And to me, the thing with Yadier Molina, I think Yadier Molina is ready to come back into the game. He says like manager, but I could totally see a situation where Pujols gets hired to be a manager somewhere. Mm-hmm. And then he calls Yachty.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Yachty becomes his bench coach. And this could be in Anaheim too. I mean, it doesn't add, this could be in a lot of different locations. And then after a couple of years, Yachty getting comfortable with being a coach goes and gets a job. I think that's very much a likely scenario for sure.
Yeah.
But to me, I think ideally, I'd like to have the consistency a little bit, even after the article about Mike Schilt and everything like that came out. I still think that was more of a Mike Schilt style more than anything else. So I like the consistency of the staff and not having to move pieces around. So I would probably put like Ruben Niebla near the top and then Albert Pujols. But if Albert Pujols is paired with Yadier Molina, to me, that is the best case scenario for the Padres in terms of making a splash, in terms of thinking outside the box, in terms of getting some spark and fire into the team. I mean, those are two guys that are competitors, that have done a lot in Major League Baseball, that have won before as players, that I think, and since they're still relatively just out of the game. I mean, Pujols stopped playing in 2022, and Yadier Molina stopped playing in 2022. They retired the same year. That was a couple of years. I mean, in 2022, the Padres are in the NLCS. So these are guys that have been in the league like not long ago. They know how this league works. They can relate to these players. To me, those two together would be a great start. And if you can keep Ruben Diablo as your pitching coach, I think you're in a really good spot to compete in 2026 with that coaching staff.
100%. But as far as I think Yachty would be a better game manager than Albert Pujols would be because of the position that he played and at the high level he
Again,
played.
You're talking about the strategy portion
right?
of it.
Yeah, I'm talking.
Well,
yeah,
he could still run it.
As a game manager,
he could still run it. I mean, they're collectively managing a game. Managerial wise, I mean, there's conversation with the front office.
San Diego Padres do something that has never been done before, as we now hire two co-managers.
It's that and the bench coach. I mean, they collectively are going to make game plans together. And you know what? If I'm Albert Pujols, I'm hiring Yachty to help me out because it's his first year. It would be his first year managing, and I don't think you'd be wasting a prime year on a guy that's a first-time manager who is a player like Albert Pujols. I think there's a difference. I think there's a massive difference. I think managing baseball games is overrated. I really do. I think it's very difficult to screw it up. Some guys do. But I think it's very difficult to screw up managing a baseball game because even when you make all the right decisions, they still don't work sometimes. You can make all the right decisions and a guy gets lit up and it didn't work and there's nothing you can do about it. The manager is about commanding respect in the clubhouse, creating the culture or keeping the culture and getting all these different walks of life to play for a common goal. That is what a baseball manager does. An NFL head coach try to get everybody to play for a common goal too, but in the NFL, it's about strategy. It's being a field commander, right? I mean, it is X's and O's in football. In baseball, it is all about morale of the team, camaraderie, clubhouse, personalities. It's the other side of the game. It's the mental side of the game from the emotional standpoint that is different between baseball and football. Baseball managers all the time, like baseball coaches, always like, oh, no, I'm in control of this game, and you got to have a guy that knows to make right decisions. It's easy.
You do need a hint of that, though. You don't. It doesn't.
If I grabbed the guy off the street to do it, yeah, it wouldn't be that great. But at the same time, there's a lot of decisions that Mike Schilt made last year, Frank, that you could make. It's about the culture.
No, I agree.
It's about the culture.
I agree that culture is the big thing. That is what the manager is in charge of. But you also do need to have a hint of game management ability.
Anybody that has played baseball before can do it. I'm going to tell you right now, it is the most overrated job in all of sports. We got lefties coming up. Maybe I should bring in a lefty that has good numbers against these guys. Making a lineup. I mean, during the game, the team basically runs itself. There's only a couple of very catastrophic mistakes, like bringing your closer in the fifth inning. Yeah, that'd be kind of stupid. But overall, most of the guys that have coached in Major League Baseball that have played this game can run this team. Here's how easy I think it is. I bet you Manny could probably make all the decisions as a player, and they don't even need a manager. It's the culture standpoint. That is what you're hiring. So even though Albert Pujols hasn't made a mound visit yet or hasn't called to the bullpen and made a pitching change or hasn't filled out a lineup card, he's going to be fine doing that with the roster that they have. I'm telling you, it's probably one of the easiest, most overrated jobs in baseball. It's about the clubhouse. I mean, how many times has Dave Roberts, like, quote, messed up with his... They just keep him there. Why? Because the players love him. The players love him. It's about the culture. It's a culture. Now, I will say, you don't want to hire, like, the Albert Pujols. Now, if you decide to go with Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina, they can't go in there and be buddies with everybody. Like, they have to be authoritative figures. And so from that standpoint, if they can't get that out of those guys and they're trying to be like cool with the players to an extent of like being their buddy, it's not going to work out. That's why those player player-friendly coaches don't seem to work out a lot, especially in like the NFL. But from a baseball standpoint, getting a guy like Albert Pujols, I'm not worried about like him making decisions throughout the game. I need him to get Manny and Fernando and Merrill and Bogarts and your stars in the right frame of mind to go out and compete. That is what you're hiring this guy for. You're not hiring him to make pitching changes. You are hiring him to get your stars to play at the best level possible. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Matt in San Diego, you're batting leadoff on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Matt?
Thanks for taking my call, Brady.
What do you got for me today?
That's great. I don't like it, and I'll tell you why. I think my first trepidation with it is you look back at the last two managers. You had well-established baseball guys who had their way of doing things, and they both left disgruntled with the situation. I'm not saying for the exact same reasons, but I think Bob was kind of done with AJ. Now, not saying that's a knock against AJ, but I think you run into, when you bring in established baseball guys into an organization that is run seemingly from the outside by the nerds, and I'd say that not endearingly, like I think AJ Preller has a very top-down approach, and there's a very analytical approach there. And so I think when you take somebody like Albert Pujols or Yadier Molina, gods of their generation of baseball, I think you have the potential to run into the same situation of you have Albert Pujols coming in hitting 700 home runs, then you have AJ Preller who's never played a game of professional baseball coming up and trying to tell him what to do. I think you can run into that sort of tension again. I think you've also, I don't know if the Padres need a manager who's going to be the show. And I think if you're going to bring Albert Pujols and or Yadier Molina into the fray, they're going to be the show more or less. Everyone's going to want to know how they're doing in their first time. I don't know if the Padres necessarily need that. I think they have the show. I think they have everything they need in place in order to run a functional, very good team. As we've seen, Mike Schultz produce 91 baseball teams with some issues in the background. And I think once you're a 91 baseball team, it's the little things that make the difference. And so I actually called him yesterday and talked about this. I think, you kind of talked about wanting the consistency. I think you want the consistency there. And I think you have the pieces in place for a winning baseball team run by AJ Preller, how AJ Preller wants it. And I really think you need a manager that's going to do that. And I know Jake Tingler is going to scare a lot of that away, but I think he's kind of an outlier in that situation. Obviously, that was an unmitigated disaster, but I think there are a lot of examples of kind of, lower tier new managers coming into the fray. You look at a Stephen Vogt, he's not, he wasn't a wow, great player, but he comes in ready to run an organization, and that won't necessarily have the ego that you get with Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina, them being guys just coming off storied Hall of Fame playing careers. I think there's trepidation there, and I really do think that more of a button pushing guy who's going to fold into the organization is what you should be looking for.
Matt, I appreciate the phone call. The reason I disagree with that is because, and again, you had the Jace Tingler experiment, and the problem with Jace Tingler was the players didn't respect him. They didn't respect him. These are players in this organization that you have to earn their respect. You do. There are players like that. I mean, even coach, like I've coached like at the high school level, there's like some big high profile guys that we have had that are 4 or 5 star recruits, and like they think they're the smartest people on the planet. I have to like earn their respect, which is crazy that I have to earn a 15-year-old's respect, but that's how they view things. There's a lot of athletes like that. You are managing egos. I get what you're coming from. But as frustrating as it might be for a guy like Albert Pujols to potentially deal with the front office of the Padres, which we don't even know. I mean, maybe Albert just will run the team the way that they want to run the team, and then he just manages the egos. I mean, to me, if Manny Machado doesn't think you know what you're doing, you have lost the clubhouse. They did that with Jace Tingler, and they lost the clubhouse. You can't do that again. You need to have somebody that, for the players, is going to demand respect. That is who they're looking for. That is who they're looking for. They would totally 100% respect Albert Pujols, and they're going to listen to him. And I think that's what this team needs. Now, from a front office standpoint, yeah, maybe a little bit different. We'll see how everybody works with A.J. Preller, and A.J. Preller is not necessarily the easiest person to work with. We've heard reports on that as well, but I'm going to tell you right now, what I want in a manager is the guy that gets my star players who I've invested a ton of money in to play at their best level. That is what a manager is expected to do. And we have a lot of guys with a lot of egos in that clubhouse. And the one thing you can't do is bring in a guy that's just going to listen to the front office, have no power, and show. And I mean, if you have a guy that comes in and does what Jace Tingler does and just listens to the front office and the players know that he ain't calling any of the shots, there goes all of his authority. And nobody's going to listen to him, and nobody's going to respect him, and they're just going to do their own thing. And that is an unmitigated disaster. That's why I think you got to bring in somebody that the players will respect. That's why I like Albert Pujols, and that's why I like Yadier Molina. We'll keep you updated on any updates that we might get on the Padres managerial search next hour.
KWFN and KW.
All guests on 97 to the Fan. Join us via the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. Facing criminal charges, trust David P. Shapiro Criminal Defense. Its attorneys help clients regain control since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Talked a lot about the Padres managerial search in the last segment. We do want to mention again the timeline that our show would like the Padres to do. And now they said there is no timeline for this particular deal. No real set timeline to hire a manager and everything like that. But you look at everything that needs to be done this offseason. AJ Preller needs to be extended. They need to find a manager. They got a couple of decisions they need to make on rosters, okay? In terms of club options, they got to wait for some player option picks. A lot of those happen within the 5 days after the completion of the World Series. And then they got to get dialed in of finding some bats with slug, figuring out the starting rotation. And then after the decision on Robert Suarez and the decision that he has to either opt into his contract or opt out or exercise an opt-out, figure out your bullpen. So these are all things that need to be put together before spring training. Number one priority to me, and I think to Frank too, is they have to get AJ Preller extended as soon as possible. That needs to be done before he can go hire a manager. It sounds like, according to Jeff Sanders a couple of days ago, that there should be an offer in place for AJ Preller on a contract extension. Sure, they have to deal with that negotiating. In the meantime, AJ Preller also has to start conducting, as he probably already has, a list of different managerial candidates to try to run this team. Now, a lot of people say, like, I'm not handing over the keys of the playoff team to a first-time manager who hasn't even coached in Major League Baseball. It's not that hard of a gig, dude. It's not that hard of a gig. People think it is. It's really not. For players that have been there and done it before. I mean, Stephen Vogt did a great job in Cleveland with zero managerial experience. There's a lot of former players and recent former players that have had early success without any type of coaching experience in Major League Baseball. You can go down the list. And so, like, I don't have a problem with Albert Pujols doing it because it's about demanding respect. I would have a problem with, like, a guy like Ryan Flaherty because he hadn't managed before. And even though he has a great baseball mind, I don't necessarily know the clubhouse would be super stoked about him. Or some of the other, like, great baseball knowledge guys. But again, it's sign AJ Preller, have AJ Preller find a manager, and then get into a lot of the issues that most fans want to pay attention to, and that is the roster decisions. We didn't get to spend too much time on this the last couple of days because we've been talking about the managerial search. But the Padres do have some roster decisions they have to make and a lot of question marks for different areas of the game. AJ Preller was, in fact, asked about this during the press conference. Here's what AJ Preller had to say about the roster decisions.
We just talk again, like this is, we'll kind of start our review process and start having more communication with the players, with Ruben and Fritzy in that group also. The only thing I said to Mason at the end of Chicago was honestly like, hey, obviously like thankful for the way he performed and impressed with how he went about his business after a big trade. And then just telling him that we'll be in touch in the next couple of weeks and have that conversation. So that'll be up between us and Mason. I think the good news is he's one of the great talents in the game. He can do a lot of things on the mound. I think we've seen, like, obviously the dominance with the fastball slider mix, the changeup coming into play. We've had some success here making guys starters, between, Pomeranz and King and Lugo, some others that I may be forgetting. But, at the end of the day, like, we'll get together as a group. We'll have our thoughts. We'll definitely get Mason's thoughts and hear what he thinks is best. We'll see how the offseason plays out roster-wise, and then we'll have some clear direction for him of what that looks like.
And then my last question is, Darvish mentioned he had a few things to think about at the end of the postseason. Have you heard from him or had any conversations with him? And do you expect him to be in the starting rotation next season?
Yeah, I talked to you quite a bit here over the last week or so, and so have others in our group. I think it's something that we'll keep talking to him over the course of the next couple of weeks to see what it all means for him. I think again, like you this year, really starting in spring training, he was probably not 100% all spring training in terms of or we got into the regular season. He's a big part of the organization, and I think we'll have more conversation here over the course of the next couple of weeks. But it's just really been the start of it overall. Honestly, we haven't really had a chance to get too detailed on anything, and I think we'll start digging in more with Darvish and others here over the course of the next couple of days and leading up to the GM meetings here at the beginning of November.
There's a lot of early decisions that need to be made, especially with the starting rotation. I mean, he talks about Mason Miller. He talks about Darvish in particular. Talked about the starting rotation. Padres rotation depth is a massive concern with how things are playing out right now. I mean, you look at who's currently on the books for next year. And you have in the starting rotation guys that are under contract. Joe Musgrove coming off of an injury, a significant injury. Darvish is 39 years old. Got to be 40 next year. Going to be 40 next year. Nick Pivetta, who has an opt-out at the end of 2026. You also have some of the young guys like Randy Vasquez, J.P. Sears. Those guys are, J.P. Sears is arbitration eligible. But that is a look at your starting rotation. Now, what are you going to do with Mason Miller? I wouldn't mind seeing what it looks like to see Mason Miller as a starting pitcher. I think a lot of people, I think that makes that trade with Leo Dallas DeVries a lot better if he becomes a starting pitcher. But there's something about him being a starting pitcher that's going to put a toll on his arm. Because the Athletics had him work a little bit as Mason Miller as a starter. They had him work as a starting pitcher, and his arm almost gave out. And so if you see him as a starting pitcher, that 104 that you're seeing, you ain't going to see that. I mean, it's going to be closer to 100. It's going to be more like 99 to 100. Maybe he'll touch 101 or 102 when he's feeling it and he's got the adrenaline going. But I don't know how a guy like Mason Miller can make it through a season and get you 30 starts. I don't see how that's possible. Maybe it is. He's still young. Maybe you can have him slowly move to a starting pitching role over the next couple of years. I mean, you have him under contract for a long time now. He's a free agent in 2030. But without Robert Suarez, I mean, to me, Mason Miller's the closer, and that's the guy. I thought last year it was time to start having the conversation of whether or not Adrian Morejon can go out there and be a starting pitcher. They signed this guy to be a starting pitcher when he was a teenager. He's done so well in the bullpen. It's like, why try to mess with it? But the reason why you do that is when you are a team like the San Diego Padres and you have spent a lot of your money already and your payroll's already up to $194 million for 2026 and you're trying to save some money, you need to find ways to get starting pitching. And starting pitching is the most expensive. And the starting pitching that's on the market is expensive and is no guarantee. I mean, this is what your free agent tracker looks like. And Michael King's currently not on it, but he's about to be. If you just look at, and there's some opt-outs that probably need to be thrown in there too, but these are starting pitchers that have not opted out yet. Or this is the starting pitcher list that is available on the open market that do not include opt-outs. Ranger Suarez, Framber Valdez, and here's the deal. What do you guys think about Dylan Cease? Huh? What do you think about Dylan Cease? What do you think the fan base, Frank, thinks about Dylan Cease?
Thank you for your service. Good luck in your future endeavors.
He had the third highest F-WAR for a pitcher last season that is a free agent. He is the third best arm on the market right now. So is whatever you said about Dylan Cease, everybody else that's on the market right now is going to be worse than Dylan Cease. Is it safe to say that starting pitching might be slightly a problem?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I mean, Dylan Cease is going to command $25 million a year, would be my guess. He's 30 years old. He's coming off of a 3.4 WAR season. He's got strikeout stuff. There's a lot of punch, high whiff stuff. He's going to be a guy that's going to demand a lot of money. You're the Padres. You have to give him a qualifying offer. Have to give him a qualifying offer. At least get a draft pick out of it.
Yeah, the qualifying offer was what, 22.5, 22.4, something like that? The qualifying offers were set at this offseason?
Yes. But he's your he's the third best option on the open market if you sort things by B-WAR. Here's the other players for you. Merrill Kelly at age 37. Yes or no? No. Remember, think about the money that guys like Sean Manaea got, and that was a couple of years ago. All of these pitchers that are getting more, that had more than a 2 WAR are probably getting 20 million plus, would be my guess. Here's all the players, or should I say starting pitchers, that got more than a 2 WAR. It's not a great list, and I'll tell you when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. 11:17 on a Thursday. Renee in the chat. Friday Eve. Yeah, it is. Friday Eve. Saturday Eve. There you go. All right, looking at the starting rotation, there's a lot of things to pick out here with the Padres for next year. And we're going to talk more about this later on. And, we've talked about the managerial search, and then my computer screen goes black every 5 seconds. Makes me want to scream. Look at the starting rotation. Again, AJ Preller did not shut down the idea of Mason Miller and Adrian Morejon potentially being starters next year. Did not shut that down. When coming to the rotation, it's difficult to find starting pitching. It costs a lot of money. Merrill Kelly, who Adam likes, age 37, 3.1 WAR. Guys that had a 3-point-something WAR last year. Guys like Jack Flaherty in the free agent market. Guys like Michael Wacha. Jack Flaherty got $22.5 million a year. Michael Wacha $17.5 million a year. Both of those players are way younger than a guy like Merrill Kelly. Maybe you could get Merrill Kelly for relatively cheap to add to the rotation. But you look at the group, and I teased it going to break. Ranger Suarez and Framber Valdez, you cannot afford, Padres fans. I'm sorry to tell you that. You cannot afford them. They're going to get paid a lot of money. Age 30, age 32, both coming off 4 B-Wars. They're going to get a lot of money in a market that needs starting pitching. Everybody needs starting pitching. Everybody needs good starting pitching. Those are the 2 best names available. Third best name available, Dylan Cease. So for everybody that dislikes Cease, just by the way, I have to say this. We used to get so many phone calls about Blake Snell, about how bad Blake Snell was, about how he can't do it at the major league level, or he's not worth the money and all this other stuff. I remember specific phone calls about got to get rid of Blake Snell. That's just like 2 shows ago. Got to get rid of Blake Snell. He looked pretty damn good in the playoffs the other day for the Dodgers, didn't he, Frank? He looked pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Got to get rid of this guy. He's terrible. He's not worth the money. He had one of the best postseason appearances you'll see. One of the best postseason starts you'll see. Got to get rid of him, though. Going to do the same thing with Dylan Cease? Highly possible. But for everything that everybody said about Dylan Cease, he's the 3rd best option according to FWAR on the open market for starting pitching. After that is 37-year-old Merrill Kelly, 37-year-old Chris Bassett, 33-year-old Adrian Hauser, 43-year-old Justin Verlander. I'm going in order of B-WAR. I mean, these are the best options for you in the starting pitching market. Nick Martinez, who's 35 years old now. Tyler Mahle, Patrick Corbin, Frank. 36-year-old Patrick Corbin, 1.9 WAR this year for Texas. Kyle Hendricks. Kyle Hendricks hasn't touched like 87 miles an hour on his fastball in like 3 years. Kyle Hendricks. Zach Littell, Mike Soroka, Zach Gallen, 1.1 WAR last year. What about Griffin Canning?
Gallen was hurt, wasn't he?
He was. What about Griffin Canning, Frank? What's your opinion about Griffin Canning?
Thank you for your service to the New York Met franchise. Goodbye.
Aaron Savali. Dustin May is a free agent. Here's one for you. Bring him home.
Uh-oh.
Bring him home.
You say Andrew Kashner or something?
No. Get your cowboy hat on. Sheriff's back in town. Bring back Chris Paddock and his brother Michael Paddock on Twitter. What do you guys think about that, Padres fans? Maybe it's time to bring the sheriff back. It's gotten reckless in the starting rotation. You know what this rotation needs, Frank?
Only if it comes with Pete Alonso so they can hash out their disagreements.
They need the sheriff back in town. I can't say with a straight face. People are going to start just sending obscene things to me on Twitter. Is it time to bring the sheriff back? Bring him home. Bring that boy home. Chris Paddock. He's only 30 years old. 0 points. That's a pitcher you can afford. Probably a lot easier to Photoshop him in a Padres uniform, too. Hey, Chris Paddock, bring him home. Bring him home.
What was Randy Vasquez's WAR last year?
Oh boy, I don't know. It's a good question. Can you look that up for me as I continue to list off pitchers?
Say it's probably better than.
That probably is. Max Scherzer, Cal Quantrill, Charlie Morton, Edman Marquez, Miles Michaelis, Paul Blackburn, Tyler Anderson. Do you want any of those pitchers?
There's a couple that pique my interest for the back end of the rotation.
For $18 million? That's the thing, is all of these guys are going to cost money. A lot of money. If Sean Manaea was getting $20 million a year, what is Dustin May going to get? Seriously. What is Dustin May going to get? So the point of this exercise is the free agent market is not necessarily great for starting pitching. They can save some money, the Padres can, by trying to convert a reliever into a starter. That's why they've done it in the past with guys like Michael King and guys like Seth Lugo. Bullpen arms that they have turned into starting pitchers and have done a great job. The time to do it is during the offseason and spring training when they have time to slowly start building up, not doing it in the regular season. I'm curious to see if they decide to do that with Mason Miller and Adrian Morejon. Now, for Adrian Morejon, I think it's more likely for him. He was a failed starter at first, but he threw a lot of pitches last year. He had a lot of innings as a bullpen arm. I think he has the ability to be a starter. They signed him as a starter when he was a teenager. He's only 26 years old. He will be 27 years old next year. This is around the same age that Michael King turned into a starting pitcher. Adrian Morejon's a free agent in 2027. You could give him a 3-year deal. Buy him out of 2026. Give him a contract guaranteed for 2027. Give him a contract guaranteed for 2028. So 27, 28, 29. He becomes a free agent at age 30. Give him more money than you would give a reliever, less money than a starter, with the promise that you're going to try to make him into a starting pitcher, and if he balls out, he'll be a free agent at age 30 when he could go get a bag, if he would like, as a starting pitcher. I think that's highly plausible. I think that's a move the Padres should make. Now, this is just thinking outside the... They could have already determined that Adrian Morejon can never be a starting pitcher again. But they did not say... AJ Preller did not say no in the press conference the other day. I think Adrian Morejon has a better shot of being a starting pitcher more than Mason Miller. Mason Miller, electric arm, incredible slider. But I think it's going to beat up his arm a little bit more. So if out of the two, if I had to pick one, Frank, Morejon or Miller, who's more likely to survive as a starting pitcher? Morejon or Miller? It's Morejon. These are the things you have to do when you're an organization that has already spent money, when you're an organization that wants to continue to compete at a high level, that has holes in the starting rotation. And here's the thing. If it doesn't work out, guess what you could do with Adrian Morejon?
Throw him back.
You can put him back in the bullpen. It is way easier to find bullpen arms than it is to find starting rotation arms. Let's talk about bullpen arms for a second. Who was the best bullpen arm last year? Think about the best bullpen arms, like contract-wise. There's guys like Josh Hader, right? Guys like Edwin Diaz. When they signed the contract, Frank,
okay,
you guys gave them the money. Not my fault. Not my money.
It also wasn't the Mets that jumped on him like a $20 million trampoline in the World Baseball Classic.
There we go. He got a 5-year, $102 million deal. At the time, that was like the number one reliever payment. He's a closer, right? He's getting paid as a closer. That's $20 million a year. That's still cheaper than most starters. Go back to the contract that Josh Hader got with the Houston Astros. When he got his payment, he got 5 years, $95 million. About $19 to $20 million a year. That's at the top. You could go find bullpen arms for way cheap. If you look at the projected arbitration for Adrian Morejon and guys like Mason Miller, who's not even ARB eligible yet. Mason Miller next year is getting he's getting ARB next year, 2026. This thing keeps resetting to 2025, and it's driving me nuts, and I'm getting a black screen every 3 seconds. And I'm going to bitch about it. I'm going to continue to bitch about it. All right, back on track here. Here are the projected numbers, the projected arbitration numbers for Mason Miller and Adrian Morejon. Adrian Morejon is expected to get $3.6 million in arbitration. Mason Miller is expected to get 3.4. You know what that tells you? You know what that tells you, Frank? It tells you that despite them being elite players, their value in the grand scheme of things, especially to WAR, is not very high. Because why? They don't throw a lot of innings. But if you move Morejon to the starting rotation, it gives you an opportunity to save some money and solve a lot of your problems, especially with the money you have. I mean, just throwing money at some starters that, and by the way, a lot of them have not worked out when they get these big contracts. But if you could move Morejon or Miller or both to the starting rotation, and you pull up guys like Bradley Rodriguez, you go find some bullpen arms that cost you $2 to $3 million, you have high value for a guy like Mason Miller, who's under contract till 2030, and you have high value for a guy like Adrian Morejon, who I would extend before I try to move him to the rotation. Pay him higher than a reliever, pay him slightly less than a starter, don't pay him closing money, but then you could have a great deal for 3 years in your rotation. And what's the worst thing that can happen? It doesn't work, right, Frank? And so what do? You move him back to the bullpen. But these are the things that you have to do in order to be the team that the Padres are trying to be. People like, saying I'm delusional for thinking about this. Go ahead. Go sign Merrill Kelly to a long-term, to a 4-year deal at age 37. I mean, you think the Phillies are super stoked about the money they got to pay Aaron Nola right now? Aaron Nola was like an ace at the time he got his contract. They had to pay him 7 years, $172 million. And it's not working out. These are the things that you have to do. You've already spent the money. And that starting rotation has a lot of question marks. Now, we haven't talked about Yu Darvish yet. Yu Darvish retires, and all of a sudden, you got a little bit more money to work with. But that being said, it's still not like a ton. And I agree. No more 37-year-old pitchers. I would prefer not to see that. I would rather see 26-year-old Mason Miller try to start and 26-year-old Adrian Morejon try to start. That, to me, is where you're going to try to get the most bang for your buck and the most value if you're the San Diego Padres. Right there. You could talk about trying to re-sign Michael King all you want. But it didn't sound like he was coming back on the early reports. To me, the biggest thing is, again, you have to extend A.J. Preller. You got to go find a manager. And then you got to fix the starting rotation. And I think one of the best ways to do it is internally with some of the bullpen arms you have. Let's think about it from a perspective of the starting rotation. Next year, let's say in a perfect world, Frank, you get the perfect world of Adrian Morejon and Mason Miller in the starting rotation. And we think they could give you 6 innings a night when they go out there. Nick Pivetta, Adrian Morejon, Mason Miller, Joe Musgrove, Randy Vasquez.
Sounds solid to me. I'd order them in a little bit of a different way, but
I just named the starters.
Yeah,
I didn't have an order at all. But yeah, I mean, you could order it whatever which way you want. Yeah, JP Sears, long relief guy. I mean, he's going to be a project. They brought him in to be a project. They obviously see something in him, and he's under contract for a long time. They got to be able to fix him. You got Johnny Brito coming back next year at some point in time.
Starter.
Right. And then you can back end with the bullpen. You can go find bullpen arms. Now, I think it scares a lot of people because Mason Miller's a great closer. Robert Suarez was a closer. You're probably going to lose Robert Suarez. And if you think about this, now your 4 horsemen in the back have now turned into 1. And it's just Jeremiah Estrada. And then who knows when Jason Adams is going to be back.
He won't be back until after the All-Star break, at least as far as the
Correct.
Injury timeline when it first came out was given.
Correct. I don't think Dustin May is going to get. Do you think Dustin May gets a contract of $6 million a year?
No.
No way. People are they're gonna see what he did. He's gonna get it. He's gonna get just insane amount of money for no reason. Yeah, I know he made $2 million last year. It was an arbitration year. That's why he got that. Somebody's gonna overpay. Anyway, we'll see what they decide to do. But to me, the best way to save money, probably to do that. They can go out and spend a ton of money, but again, it doesn't sound like they're in the business of spending a ton of money right now, Frank, does it?
No.
No, it does not. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, how does the Padres managerial job compare to others that are available? Plus, we'll get to our sports thread, and we'll start talking about some football in the noon hour, make our college picks in the 1 o'clock hour as we continue on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. You can't count on much, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL and CBS on Paramount Plus. Stream your local NFL game live every Sunday all season long, starting at just $30 for your first year. That's like $250 a month. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. All right. We got some interesting. If you look at, just to kind of prove the point a little bit more with the entire situation of the Padres are trying to find value in their starting rotation, right? They're trying to improve the starting rotation. As of right now, Frank, who do we have in the starting rotation signed on for next year?
Pavetta, Musgrove, Vasquez, Sears,
Darvish.
Well,
Until he
yes.
makes the decision, he is still on that rotation.
Yes, he is.
That is what you currently have. Darvish might retire, which frees up money. We'll see what kind of decision he decides to make. Joe Musgrove's coming off injury. Nick Pivetta can opt out at the end of 2026. Randy Vasquez had a good year. We'll see what he can do again on top of that. JP Sears did not look very good in a Padres uniform, but JP Sears is, in fact, kind of a project for the Padres. That's why they threw him in there on that deal. So, that being said, you're trying to improve your starting rotation. A lot of arms out there in Major League Baseball are going to cost a lot of money, especially for starting pitching. It's what the market says. There's a lot of very mediocre starting pitchers that get a lot of money in the free agent market. We see it every single year. Now, when looking at how to improve this starting rotation, I think the best way for the Padres, and they have had success doing this, is converting relievers into starters. The two that I would consider the most are Mason Miller and Adrian Morejon. Looking at the grand scheme of things in terms of overall WAR for pitchers, if you look at the overall WAR for pitchers from last year, the pitcher with the number one WAR in baseball was Christopher Sanchez for the Phillies. He had a great year. He had an 8 WAR. Paul Skeens, 2 on the list, 7.6 WAR. Tarek Skubal, 6.6. And you go down the list, Garrett Crochet, Hunter Brown, Andrew Abbott. I mean, these are all the guys that are at the top of their game right now in Major League Baseball. Nick Pivetta, 9th best WAR in baseball for an arm. You have to scroll down very far to find your top bullpen arm, which was Aroldis Chapman at 28th. The 28th best value arm in Major League Baseball. You scroll further down, you start seeing some couple relief pitchers, see some starters. You finally see the next San Diego Padre on the list in Jason Adam at 51. Again, he's got guys like Merrill Kelly ranked in front of him, and Mackenzie Gore and Chris Bubik. And I mean, you go through the list of some of the players that ranked higher than Jason Adam. Scroll down further, Adrian Morejon, 54th best in WAR. He's actually better than Andres Munoz, surprisingly enough. And the biggest reason is he throws more innings than Andres Munoz. He threw 73 and 2/3 innings, and Andres Munoz threw 62 and a third. Go further down, guys like Nick Martinez, 61st in WAR. Eric Lauer at 64th. Randy Vasquez at 66th. David Bednar at 68th. And then you keep going. 78th best in WAR, Mason Miller. I would argue that Mason Miller is one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. I'd argue he's the best reliever in Major League Baseball. He's 78th ranked in WAR because he only threw 60 and 2/3 innings. He doesn't throw a lot of innings. So when talking about getting your value back, it might behoove the Padres to try to make him a starting pitcher. I think it's dangerous. I think you give it a shot in spring training, and if he starts getting some issues with his arm, you should probably shut him down and just put him back to the bullpen. But I think it's worth taking a shot. I think the same thing can be said about Adrian Morejon. Those are two players that are under contract, not making a lot of money, that could help your bullpen, and then you can go find bullpen arms. These are like players behind them that aren't doing well in WAR and aren't going to demand a lot of money, are bullpen arms that you can go find. They're not going to cost a lot. But like I said before, these, like Mason Miller's not going to be able to throw 100 miles an hour every single pitch, every fifth day for 30 starts a year. But even him throwing in the high 90s and with that slider, and if he can pitch in a starting role, that benefits the Padres. And I think that's the best solution that they have for next year. Either him or Morahone. If it's both, you're playing with house money. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Pitching is the issue now. Calvin in the chat says pitching isn't the issue, it's slugging. That's a separate issue. But next year, pitching is definitely an issue. You can't say it's not an issue with the starting pitching because even this year, you were trying to figure out who was starting game 2, and it was Dylan Cease, and he actually pitched the best. Starting pitching has been an issue. It will always be an issue. It's an issue for every single team. They have to figure that situation out before because that costs the most money. And if you're spending your money on starting pitching, that means you don't have any money for bats. If you spend all your money on bats, you're not going to have the money for starting pitching. These are ways to try to save money so you can spend the money on all these gigantic ticket items, wish lists that everybody has, like Kyle Schwarber and Pete Alonso. And I'm not news for you. Neither of those guys are going to be Padres next year because they can't afford them. But if you want your best opportunity to potentially afford these guys, you better start converting some relievers into starting pitching to save some money. That's the deal. All of these issues that the Padres have cost a lot of money. Starting pitching is a massive issue. You need to fix that before you can start fixing your bats. Because the bats don't cost as much as the starters. That's how you have to go about your business and know what your budget is for the bats. GSDP, continuing with his money solutions. It's so simple. They just got to do this one thing that I won't say. He's been on. I'm going to tell you, if that ever happens, he was on it first. He's been on it first. It's time to get to the sports thread, Frank. What's going on in sports that does not involve the Padres?
The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news.
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk. Brought to you by QC Kinetics. Stop sitting on the sidelines. QC Kinetics gets you back in the game without surgery. To learn how, visit QCkinetics.com.
All right, Frank, what do we got today in the sports world?
We got a good amount of things that we can touch on here. First of all, we'll go to college.
Number 1.
The Big 12 has fined Kansas and Texas Tech $25,000 each yesterday for fallout of a dispute over fan behavior at the Red Raiders' 42-17 win in Lubbock on Saturday. Jayhawks coach Lance Leopold also apologized yesterday for statements he made after the game. Texas Tech was twice penalized during the game for fans throwing tortillas onto the field, an old tradition that was banned by the Big 12 before the season had begun. The rowdy scene at Jones AT&T Stadium led to a post-game dust-up between Leopold and Red Raiders coach Joey McGuire, with Leopold chastising McGuire for the fans' behavior. In post-game video, McGuire can be seen telling Leopold, "Coach, I can't do anything about it. If you want me to do something about it." This is a rule that's set up at the beginning of the season, and I'm sure this is something that the Texas Tech Red Raiders had told their fans about. Why is it on the coach to worry about what the fans do in Leopold's mind?
I mean, he's in charge of the program. So
Not in charge of the students.
Yeah, well, eventually the responsibility falls on somebody, and that's the first guy that he has to talk to at this point in time. He's the first guy there. I have been to Texas Tech. I have been hit by tortillas and batteries, and I've had glass bottles thrown at me, and that is how they are.
Which is all obscene.
They throw the tortilla thing is I forget who it was, but back in the day, some coach at some school was asked about a good Texas Tech team, and he said the only thing they have in Lubbock is cactus and tortillas. And so the fans threw tortillas at him, and then that turned into a tradition of throwing tortillas every single game, which has now which also turned into them throwing a bunch of other stuff. It is a ruckus crowd. It's a crazy place to play. Bad things happen in Lubbock. I've learned that as being somebody that's had to go there at least once. When I see my teams play there, weird things happen in Lubbock, and that's part of the deal. But the Big 12 this year finally put the kibosh on the tortillas and said, you guys got to stop doing it or you're going to be fined. And so they continue to do it because they don't care. It's the people of Lubbock. Can't stop our tradition. They did it, and now they're getting fined. I mean, they threw a tortilla when we were there, when Trevon Boykin outdueled Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, he did. Opening kickoff, our kid slipped on a tortilla and had to take a knee in the end zone because he just gets like littered with tortillas. So fine both schools. I'm cool with that. I mean, who do you think Leopold's going to talk to? He's got to talk to the head coach. That's the guy at his level that's like, hey, you guys got to control this. Same thing would be said at any other venue. How many times have you seen the head coach of places jump on the mic and go, please stop throwing things on the field? Please stop throwing things in the thing. I mean, he's the spokesperson for the program.
Should be on the PA announcer.
They do. They say it too. But until the coach does it, nobody does anything about it. You got crazy college kids. And probably more grown adults than anything else.
Just ridiculous all the way around. Speaking of ridiculous.
Number 2.
Players from the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cleveland Browns expressed outrage and concern that led to the NFLPA discussing how embarrassing the playing surface was at the old Heinz Field. I'm not calling it that.
The old Heinz Field, he says.
Yeah, Heinz Field. The NFLPA has conveyed its concern to the NFL and will work to ensure that the players are not put in that position going forward. Some of the players said the field, which was already scheduled to be resodded after the game, was dry. Steelers offensive lineman Broderick Jones was one of the multiple players who they said kicked chunks of grass up when they made explosive movements. League spokesperson Brian McCarthy said Wednesday that the NFL has been in touch with both the union and the club, which has taken steps to replace the grass surface. I didn't notice how bad it was. I did see the one video going around of the kicker slipping in the sod when his foot dug in and the whole grass below him gave out.
Yeah, that's not great.
But seriously, that's an NFL stadium. You have to have better sod working than what you currently have.
I just know it's like, isn't that always been a problem in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I remember what was it, the mud game against Miami? That infamous punt that just sunk right in.
I'm not an expert on keeping grass in PA, but I would imagine it's probably difficult to keep grass up to par in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But yeah,
they're figuring out a way. They're figuring out a way to do it. They're figuring out a way to do natural grass in Buffalo, where they have heaters below it, and it's all going to work fine.
A lot of those places do have the heaters in the field, so maybe they need that.
Maybe, possibly,
that could
be it.
It is
Number 3.
A little bit warmer climate now. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa apologized yesterday for comments that he made after Sunday's loss to the Chargers, where he criticized teammates for being late to players-only meetings. Tagovailoa opened up his news conference Wednesday by apologizing for his comments and taking responsibility for their impact on his teammates. He said, quote, "I've made a mistake and I'm going to own up to that right now. I've talked to the guys on the team about it, talked to the leaders about it. They know my heart. They know that my intent was right, but no matter the intent, when things got misconstrued or however the media wants to portray it, that leaves a void of silence and a lot of questions for the guys on our team being 1-5. We talk about it a lot. All right, we got to get this going. Come in excited, get to work, forget about the noise. And I feel like I just added to that noise for our guys. So good on Tua for taking accountability for how his words impacted the Dolphins locker room.
Yeah, they're a circus. I mean, that's just going to continue to be a circus. It starts from the top. That's why Tua said the things that he said, and now he has to apologize for it. I mean, when is McDaniel getting fired? I mean, they got to fire him and the GM, and they got to start over
soon.
They are a circus. Speaking of hot seats, we'll talk about some of the coaches on the hot seat in the National Football League. Some moves that were made in college when we come back. Noon, lunchtime hour. Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 to the Fan.
So it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the gas lamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
Noon lunchtime hour on 97.3 The Fan. This is brought to you by your local Kia dealers. Visit kia.com to discover movement that inspires. I'm Braden Surprenant. He's Frank Marchese. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. Live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Not as fast as Sean Lewis. How about them Aztecs?
How about them Aztecs?
That's right, Sean. But still fast nonetheless. All right, let's talk some football, huh? Let's talk football. Let's talk football. That's the drop we need next. Well, remember the Titans there, Frank? Want to talk football? Let's talk football. Let's talk football. Kind of rough for a lot of coaches right now in the grand scheme of things, getting fired or looking like they're going to get fired early in the season. And we're almost at the midway point for a lot of seasons, whether it be college, whether it be the NFL. And there's a lot of potential firings and guys that have already been fired, hot seats around both college and the NFL. Obviously, the glaring one and number one right now that happened over the weekend that we haven't been able to talk about at all was the firing of James Franklin. And we're going to start with that. Augie, you get fired, you run a mile. That's pretty funny. So Penn State fires James Franklin on Sunday, just 15 days after they were ranked number 3 in the country, and a year after they had won a playoff game and were 1 win away from going to the national championship game. The context: they had 3 straight losses. James Franklin and Penn State lost to Oregon, and they lost to UCLA, and they lost to Northwestern. And all of a sudden, it was time to fire James Franklin at Penn State. And Happy Valley was no longer happy. That is despite a $50 million buyout. Now, there's some clauses in that where he has to go out and he's got to go try to get a head coaching job or a coaching job or like an analyst role. And if he gets a job like that, Penn State only has to pay him the difference to get to the $8 million a year that he is owed for the next however many years he had on his deal. So Penn State decides to fire James Franklin. It kind of shows the big picture now of college athletics in terms of how it mirrors the NFL in terms of expectations. There is no patience. It's all big money, and you need instant results. Now, James Franklin had been there for 12 years. James Franklin had gone in like 10 games almost every single year as the head coach at Penn State. And the fans got restless because he couldn't beat a top 10 team, right? His record against top 10 teams was abysmal, and he couldn't win the big game. They would call him Big Game James. Maybe if you're just James, like you just can't win big games, everybody's got the big name, Big Game James joke on you. Looking at you, James Shields. Bartolo Colon. But I look at the Penn State deal, and I think a lot of colleges and their fan bases and their boosters who are spending tons of money on players need to see instant gratification and instant winning. Otherwise, they're going to fire you. I mean, and I think a lot of them look at what has happened at Indiana. Kurt Cignetti has flipped Indiana's football program around overnight, and now everybody thinks they could go find the next Curt Cignetti, and everything's going to be working out for them. The cautionary tale, though, with Penn State is you're consistently winning 10 games a year, and you're right there at the cusp of potentially being the team in college football you expect to be. And the risk is you might move backwards with the next coaching hire and not get you the guy that can do better than what James Franklin does. Which I found interesting that, like, there was rumors about Marcus Freeman potentially being a head coaching candidate for Penn State. Marcus Freeman is a guy that also hadn't won a lot of big games. It's very much like James Franklin. Now, he got him to the national championship last year, Notre Dame. But Marcus Freeman is like James Franklin. To me, that would be like a lateral move. And the question would be like, why would he leave Notre Dame? I mean, Penn State might have more resources than Notre Dame. I don't know. I don't know why Marcus Freeman would leave that particular situation unless he feels the heat too. I mean, Notre Dame loses the bad teams at home, just like Penn State lost to a couple of bad teams this season. I don't see that being a solid move. And for Penn State now, they got to go find a guy that's going to outdo what James Franklin did. I see some other rumors out there, like they're going to throw money at Curt Cignetti. Curt Cignetti's up there in age, man. Is he going to be there for long term, or is this just like a little bit of a bridge gap to somebody else? They could definitely throw the money at Cignetti to leave Indiana to go to Penn State. He's one of the candidates. They also mentioned Matt Rule. Like, Matt Rule leaving Nebraska would make a lot of sense. Matt Rule is a Joe Paterno guy, PA guy. I don't know why Penn State would hire a Joe Paterno coaching tree guy. But you know what? I like Matt Rule. I think Matt Rule's a good coach. But I saw this comparison earlier today, and I get it. If Matt Rule does what James Franklin did at Penn State at Nebraska, he's the coach there for life. I mean, he gets a contract extension. Like, winning 10 games a year at Nebraska right now, taking him to the playoff. If he does what James Franklin did at Penn State at Nebraska, he gets a contract extension. If Matt Rule does what James Franklin did at Penn State, he gets fired in 3 years. How attractive really is that job at Penn State, if that's going to be the case? Now, it's not like they didn't fire James Franklin quickly, right? He had 12 years to try to get the job done, and eventually you got to try to change the expectations. And Penn State wants to win a national championship. They haven't won a national championship in the 1980s. But it just goes to show how crazy college football is from the professional side of things as well. And you're going to see a lot of jobs opening. I mean, Billy Napier is going to coach a game on Saturday, and win or lose, he's going to get fired. Arkansas is an opening. I mean, Texas A&M got rid of Jimbo Fisher a couple of years ago. They're just rotating through coaches, and the buyouts are crazy. Anybody notice that UAB fired Trent Dilfer the same day? Hot season is officially underway in both college and pro football. There's a lot of college jobs open. There's a lot of guys that are moving around all over the place. And they're going to be getting a lot of cash. Now, in the NFL, I haven't gotten to that point yet, really, to an extent. I mean, you did see what's his name down in Tennessee get let go. I mean, they're garbage. And that Tennessee's entire organization should probably just like rip through what they have. Mike McDaniel with Miami, 1-5 after a 29-27 home loss to the Chargers. Locker rooms in shambles. We just talked about Tua Tagovailoa publicly questioned the team leadership and accountability. Then he apologized on that. Reports of players being late to meetings, not showing up for player-only sessions. Tyreek Hill is drama in itself. Previously refused to enter a game last season, reportedly not disciplined about it. Now out for the season with a serious knee injury, facing off-field allegations. He continues to face off-field allegations. I don't know why anybody's not up Tyreek Hill's ass all the time. He's the perfect example to me why you can't have the holier-than-now attitude when it comes to players, because Tyreek Hill still plays, and nobody just destroys him all the time like they do with other players that have also gotten a pass. I mean, he is just the center of problems, off-field, on-field, all the time. But the Dolphins don't just have off-field problems. They have on-field problems. Offense is ranked 12th in EPA per play. They used to be top 3. Tua is throwing slower, 2.7 seconds versus the league-leading 2.4. He's holding the ball longer. They lost key free agents in Robert Hunt and Christian Wilkins and Javon Holland. General manager Chris Greer's roster management is under fire. Bad trades for Chubb and Ramsey. They are a circus. Mike McDaniel's getting fired. That's what happens. You don't value offensive line play and just look at skill guys. You turn into the Miami Dolphins. He's getting fired. Justin Fields got off to a good start. He's getting fired soon as the quarterback. I mean, he was 9 for 17 in week 6 for 45 yards and 9 sacks in a 13-11 loss to the Denver Broncos. Negative 10 net passing yards. First time a quarterback with 20-plus dropbacks has gone negative since Jay Cutler in 2010. Jets have 12 drives. 7 ended with a first down. Only 2 drives gained more than 20 yards. Garrett Wilson limited to 1 catch, 4 yards. RIP, anybody that's got Garrett Wilson in fantasy. Field sacks average 5+ seconds after snap. Poor anticipation. And a lot of the time, I mean, the Bears' offensive line for when Justin Fields was there was not good. Justin Fields got himself sacked a lot of the times in Chicago, as bad as the O-line was. Offensive coordinator Tanner Engstrand's play calls lack rhythm. Fields is not trusting his reads. Massive quarterback dilemma in New York. Fields is owed $10 million guaranteed next year. Tyrod Taylor, that guy is a cockroach in the NFL with the quarterback play. Steady the team is 0-6. Head coach Aaron Glenn may need a scapegoat to keep his job in year 1 of being a head coach. The other one that's like a hot seat for me, and you wouldn't think it would be, as we lost Frank, which means I don't know if we still got the audio or not. Hopefully we still do on YouTube. The John Harbaugh thing is a little interesting to me. 1-5 after a 17-3 loss to the Rams. They are beyond awful. Now, a lot of them are injuries. A lot of fans are saying fire Harbaugh in Baltimore right now. I mean, those erupted at M&T Bank Stadium. I mean, everything that they've done in Baltimore, like 1 year, just see ya. This guy can't get it done anymore. Lamar Jackson era is viewed as underachieving. Only 1 AFC title game appearance in 7 years. Team sloppy on 4th downs. Defense is slipping. A lot of injuries, as mentioned before. Inconsistent secondary. Poor turnover margin. Harbaugh remains respected, but whispers continue to grow. Ravens, easier stretch. Next 6 are against teams that are 9-24 combined. In fact, the Baltimore Ravens are actually favored to win in terms of percentage over I think, for almost the remainder of their season. So maybe that will turn it around. But you look at these coaching changes throughout college and the NFL. I'm going to tell you right now, like, the more San Diego State wins, you better watch out, Aztec fans, about Sean Lewis potentially leaving. We thought that was going to be the case when they hired him. I thought the first time I heard Sean Lewis speak, there was a lot of coach speak, but also at the same time, I was like, this guy understands what it takes to win. I mean, he could be a candidate for a lot of these openings throughout college football. And I just be ready to make a decision on being able to get a head coach and get players back too. I mean, Aztec players are going to be poached so fast in the transfer portal. At least there's only one transfer portal now in college football. A lot of hot seats out there in the NFL. I don't know if Cincinnati is in that particular spot. Bengals and Steelers tonight. We'll talk more about it when we come back. Thursday Night Football. Eddie Brown will join us at 12:35. We'll get you our college picks at 1 as we continue on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. All guests on 97 through the Fan. Join us via the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. Facing criminal charges. Trust David P. Shapiro Criminal Defense Attorneys. Helping clients regain control since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. We will be getting to Eddie Brown in the next segment. We will also be trying to get a contestant for a midday sports standoff. If you could take me down in some sports trivia, you would be qualified for a chance to win our grand prize, a trip for two to see Jerry Seinfeld in Las Vegas, including 2 tickets to the show on April 17th at the Coliseum at Caesars Palace, a 2-night stay at the Flamingo Hotel and Casino, and a $100 gas card. Jerry Seinfeld returns to the Coliseum at Caesars Palace on April 17th and 18th. See Ticketmaster.com for tickets. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973 is the number if you want to try to take me down in some football trivia, specifically college football. That will be the question of the day. We're getting to that next segment after we talk to Eddie Brown. But before we do that, Steelers and Bengals, Frank. Should be a fun one tonight on our airwaves.
It absolutely should be.
Black and blue division, as they like to call it. And a division to me that I find to be wide open between the Bengals and the Steelers and the Ravens and not really the Browns. I think this is a very lackluster division in the NFL. I think the Steelers are fake good. I don't think they're that great. As I look at these two teams lined up, I know the Steelers are 4-1. The Bengals are 2-4. The Bengals are nothing without Joe Burrow. And it just goes to show how dumb the Bengals are for not trying to upgrade their offensive line and instead signing all the receivers. When you got a lot of skill guys, that's great. But if your quarterback can't get to the ball because he's not upright or currently not playing, it's even worse. Trey Hendrickson is also expected to be out tonight for the Bengals against the Steelers. Also not good news if you're the Bengals. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have wins against the Jets, the Patriots, the Vikings, and the Browns. Patriots is a solid win. Vikings, Browns, They're going to be on the road in Cincinnati. And the Bengals have just been rough without Joe Burrow. And they're going to go with Joe Flacco again.
I mean, I would assume that's the expectation.
You'd have to go with him again because you traded for him, right?
That would be my only course of action. I mean, and if this doesn't highlight the fact that positions in the National Football League or in football in general are weighted differently than others, it's not every position is not the same.
Receivers are a
in the
dime a
NFL.
dozen. I'll say that all the time.
This is the key. You could have an unbelievable team. Year after the Patriots went 16-0, they had a 500 year and I believe backed into the playoffs because Tom Brady got hurt in week 1. It doesn't matter how good your team is overall. If you do not have a quarterback, you are going nowhere, and you are going nowhere in a hurry.
Or if you don't have somebody to protect said quarterback.
Exactly.
Offensive line is the most important position in football. I mean, it to me is the most important with the quarterback play. I mean, you have to have a good quarterback. You have to have a good quarterback. You also have to have a good line. If you have a great quarterback and no line, unless the guy can run and make things happen, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And the Bengals right now don't have either of those things. They got a lot of great receivers. They got T. Higgins. They got Jamar Chase. They got guys they can throw the ball to. Unfortunately, they have nobody to throw them the ball, nor have time to throw said ball. And they can't run the ball either because they don't have an offensive line. And that is why they've lost 4 straight games after winning the first 2 against the Browns and the Jags, where most of those, where the first game was played by Joe Burrow. The second game was mostly played by Joe Burrow. They got smoked by Minnesota. They got smoked by the Broncos. They got smoked by the Lions. They got smoked by the Packers. This game might be close, though, because I don't think the Steelers are that great, even with Aaron Rodgers.
I don't think Rodgers is that great anymore. I mean,
I don't think so.
The
either.
Steelers overall are just kind of an average team taking advantage of what their schedule has given them this year.
Aaron Rodgers this year is 95 for 138 and 1,021 yards, 10 touchdowns, 3 picks. He has run the ball 10 times for 12 yards. Joe Flacco is 122 for 205 and 1,034 yards. 4 touchdowns, 6 picks. He's obviously had to throw a lot more in Cleveland and in now in Cincinnati because they've been down on 2 bad teams. But Aaron Rodgers has been okay. He hasn't been like super phenomenal. He's got a 105 rating.
Quarterback.
Jalen Warren's been good between the 20s. They gave the ball to Gainwell down by the goal line. I thought Chase Brown was going to have a good fantasy year, but as soon as the quarterback went down for Cincinnati, man, it's just not been very good. I thought DK Metcalf has had a pretty decent season, though.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, looking at his numbers, not all that bad. Solid year for DK.
DK, 19 receptions, 356, 4 touchdowns on the year. Jamar Chase is starting to get some numbers back, but it's hard to get a guy involved in Jamar Chase when you can't throw the football.
When you can't throw the football, but also knowing that for a guy who can't throw the football, your first option is going to be look at your best receiver, the one that can make me look the best as possible, which is Jamar Chase, which is why he has, 42 catches on the year?
We need to boost those numbers as rookie numbers.
For about the same amount of yardage.
Boost those numbers. Somebody had him in fantasy, and as soon as Joe Burrow went down, Jamar Chase went down. And we'll talk more fantasy football with Eddie Brown. I still don't like Thursday night games on Prime Video. I have Prime Video, but it's the effort to go fire it up. Do Steelers and Bengals make me want to tonight fire up Thursday night football? Probably not. Now, this is what I am doing tonight. So
Thursday night football games are always god awful.
Next week's game, it's Vikings Chargers in LA. God awful. The Prime Video broadcast does kind of suck.
Pittsburgh favored by 5.5 in this game, by the way.
I'll take the Steelers.
I knew I forgot to put something on there.
Ravens Dolphins in 2 weeks. Awful. Down in Miami. Week 10, Thursday night game. Raiders Broncos.
I know a certain Cartman meme that's going to be thrown on that game.
Week 11, Thursday night football. Oh my God. This is such a Thursday night football game. You ready for this?
Go ahead.
Your New York Jets and the New England Patriots. What a waste. That same week, the Commanders are playing the Dolphins in Madrid.
What week
I'm
is that?
so done with the Europe games, by the way, too.
What week is that?
11. November 12th to the 18th.
That has to get flexed.
They don't flex the Thursday games, do they? Or no, they said they could do that now.
Yeah, that has to get flexed. There's no shot that does not get flexed.
Bills Texans. Not bad. Not bad. Flexing Thursday night games, by the way, is such BS. Such BS. Flip again. Oh, you're going to play Thursday night. Actually, you're playing Sunday night. Sunday afternoon. Week 13. Here's your Thanksgiving games. I know it's too early to start talking about it. Chiefs Cowboys at 1:30. Hey, not bad. You're going to see a shootout because Cowboys can't play defense. They can score, though. Can't play defense. Packers Lions at 10 in the morning. I think NBC thought Bengals Ravens is going to be a lot better. That's the night game on Thanksgiving. That is not dessert. That is, I mean, shoot. That is bad. That's a rough night game on Thanksgiving. Packers Lions, money. Chiefs Cowboys, I can do it. I can dig it. Bengals Ravens, beginning of the season, that sounded great. Not anymore. This is kind of fun, the Thursday night games. Cowboys Lions the week after. Let's have the two teams that play each other, that play on Thanksgiving every year, play each other the next Thursday. Seems kind of fair, I guess.
I mean, fair enough.
That's not going to be that bad. Falcons Bucks. Rams Seahawks. Not bad.
No.
Week 17, you have 3 games on Christmas. I was going to say you have 3 games on Thursday. You want to know why? Because Christmas, and it came out. You have 3 games on Christmas. There goes the surprise. So that's fun. Cowboys Commanders on Christmas Day at 10 in the morning. They're all 2 of them on Netflix and 1 of them on Prime Video. Lions Vikings, Broncos Chiefs. Don't mind it. Week 18, you don't have any Thursday games. Everybody's on Sunday for the last week of the year. Bengals and Steelers tonight. You got the Steelers?
Yeah, I would say for what's being dubbed as the Icy Hot Bowl, yes, I would take
The icy hot bowl?
I mean, they're both old men quarterbacks.
Old men quarterbacks. It's cold. They're not hot anymore.
They're going to need a lot of icy hot.
They're going to need a lot of icy hot to make it to the game tonight. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Tonight, here's what I'm going to do tonight. We have a couple of minutes. So I got football practice today, walk through Thursday. And then we're doing my parents and my brother and I are doing a cocktail making night at Pacific Social.
Tonight?
Yeah, they're doing like a teach you how to make cocktails.
I was going to say, that sounds like a Friday.
No, that's a Thursday
activity.
thing, dude. Thursdays are going out nights. Thursday night's the drinking night.
I'm saying
Friday nights for high school football. Thursday nights, I love a little kickoff to the weekend. As Renee said in the chat, it's Friday Eve, Frank. Pacific Social. So you had to sign up for it before, so you can't sign up for it now.
But my thought of it is...
Here's what I got on the list here. You ready for this?
Go ahead.
Sip, savor, and celebrate the season. It's whiskey and harvest cocktail class. I was like, I'm intrigued. Let me improve my cocktail game. I'm about creating food. I'm very into cooking. And you know what? Maybe I should improve my cocktail game instead of doing the same cocktails all the time. Okay? Hanging out with the parents, hanging out with my brother. Should be a fun time, a little family time. I know my sister in Nashville is probably super jealous. You get 3 cocktails and a seasonal food pairing. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, Frank? So the first thing, rosemary old fashioned. Do you like rosemary? I'm not a big rosemary fan.
I've never met her. I'm sure she's all right.
What about the spice?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine.
I'm not a big rosemary fan, but they're going to teach you a rosemary old fashioned. They're going to pair it with prosciutto and Parmesan rosemary focaccia. Crostini.
Okay.
Not bad. Not a bad appetizer, huh? Then for the main course, you get to learn how to make a double smoked beef tallow old fashioned. Beefy.
Fun.
I have smoked beef tallow in my fridge. Maybe I can recreate it with that. Oh, yeah, you have some of that still. Have you used that at all?
My dad probably has. With
a little
some of the
smoky flavor. And you know what? Tell your dad he can make it with a cocktail. With that Caston Coast.
There you go.
Bourbon that we gave you.
Yes.
So they're doing with that simple syrup, with bitters, orange peel, and smoke. They're going to smoke at tableside. I can't. Here's the thing. When I'm doing the cocktail class, I want to do something that I could do at my house. I'm not going to get smoke, light some wood chips on fire to get that's a lot of effort at my house.
It just sounds lazy to me.
All right. Well, I'll invite you over. You can make me the cocktail then.
Huh?
Honey barbecue glazed beef.
No, you're the
ribs.
one taking the class.
No, I don't mind doing the class, but I want to learn something that I can do at my house.
That's not what you pay money to go to a
They're
class
teaching you
for.
how to make the cocktail so you can do it again. Otherwise, what's the point? Why do I need to make it? Why don't you just make it for me?
If you want to do at-home stuff, you get a book.
Oh, that's not. No.
And then if you want to do something,
You're so
special,
off base on this.
well, no, you're the one that's being lazy and not wanting to do it.
No, I'm just saying, if you're going to offer a cocktail class, you should probably have
There's got to be a
cocktails
presentation to it.
Yeah, but you should probably have cocktails that you can create at your house.
That's what the book is for.
Grandpa Frank said, buy a book. Buy a book. Brother, we have the internet now. You can look up any recipe on your phone.
Well, there you go.
That's a foul on Frank. I agree, AC Money. That's a foul on Frank.
Why is it a foul on me?
On Frank.
If you're paying to go to a class, they're not going to tell you, "Oh, here's a dry appletini. Have fun." No, they're going to do something that's going to force you to put some effort into it.
No.
Make a display of it.
Lighting something on fire is it's too much. It's got to be something that you can do in a house. A simple little recipe. You can add a little flair to it, but any type of smoke thing is a little too much. I want to try to make this at my house.
That's what the class
No,
is
you're
for.
not getting what I'm saying. You're not getting what I'm saying. It needs to be like this one. Banana walnut old fashioned. You can do that at your house.
And what did you just do?
What?
You looked it up online.
No, that's the next pairing. They sent it. Banana walnut old fashioned paired with the banana Foster split. They're going to do Elijah Craig toasted barrel bourbon, banana liqueur, toasted with walnut simple syrup, black walnut bitters, and banana chip. That is something with ingredients you can create at your house that you learn how to make from the cocktail guy. And then you do it.
Yes.
Not like that's something that you have access to at your house. Smoking something table set at your house is not necessarily the greatest of ideas. Frank agrees. I agree, Clay. He doesn't understand what I'm saying. You go to the cocktail class to teach you how to make household cocktails, not some crazy thing that I can't create.
Where is this class?
It is at a restaurant. Where'd you think it was?
City.
It's in Carmel Valley. It's at Pacific Social. You ever been to Pacific Social?
No, I don't go out. I don't leave my house unless it's absolutely necessary.
Well, it's absolutely necessary if you go to the Scripps Cathedral game tomorrow and then go to Pacific Social after. How about that? How often are you purchasing black walnut bitters? Probably never. But you know what? At least that's probably easier to get than
That's
like
only
getting
a
wood chips and
that
like,
is
it's
that's
too
a
much.
one-time purchase. It's like buying salt. You buy the one big thing of salt, you don't think about it again for another year, and then there comes a point in time, 5 years down the line, where you're like, oh, we need salt.
You're getting a lot of fouls in the chat.
Okay, too bad.
EC Money went out of his way to log into YouTube to give you a foul.
Do you have any idea how many chat fouls that we skip over?
There it is. There it is.
We could have had our Eric Hosmer rejoin months ago.
God, he got killed on Twitter the other day.
As he should have. But
I don't even know what he was trying to accomplish with that tweet. It didn't make any sense. He had too many emoticons. Was he too hyped up in the morning? I don't know. You know who's hyped up all the time? Eddie Brown. We're going to talk to him when we come back. Talk fantasy football with you on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All guests on 97 through the Fan. Join us via the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. Facing criminal charges. Trust David P. Shapiro Criminal Defense Attorneys, helping clients regain control since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. A little late than usual, and a little late on the cocktail talk there about the cocktail class I'm taking tonight. I'll let you know how it goes. Also, foul on whoever said tomorrow's show is going to be off to a slow start. Come on. That's a foul. Foul on the chat, Frank, for that.
He draws the foul.
Come on. Slow start to a Friday show. Are you kidding me? That's disgraceful. That's upsetting. You know, it's not upsetting? Fantasy football. And talking with Eddie Brown. Talking with Eddie Brown is never upsetting. It's always rewarding, and it's always a great time. And we welcome in Eddie on the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. Eddie, how was your Thursday? A little earlier than we usually talk to you.
Yeah, Braden, I'm doing well. Just trying to get set up for the weekend. Trying to figure out. You know, it's been a weird couple of weeks in fantasy for me. I'm 4-2 in one league, and in sixth place because I'm tied with 5 other teams at 4-2, and I'm slightly scoring a little less than those 5 teams. And then I'm 2-4 in another league, but I'm outscoring the entire league by like 150 points through 6 weeks. So it's kind of a weird time right now for my fantasy teams.
Yeah, it sounds like my fantasy teams for the most part. One team's doing really well. One team has outscored other teams and doesn't have any wins, and the other team is just they're not doing very well. So let's try to find some help out there for a lot of people that might be needing some help at this point in the season in fantasy football. Eddie, we're 6 weeks in. Here's an interesting question for you. What's been the biggest fantasy football surprise so far for you? Drake May turning into a top 5 quarterback, Bijan Robinson on a record pace, or Saquon Barkley's struggles in Philly?
Well, I literally told anybody who would listen to draft Bijan Robinson number 1 overall. So that's not surprising me.
Neither is the Saquon thing based on what you've told us as well.
We also talked about Barkley and me being apprehensive that he was going to be able to even do 70% of what he did last year. Although I will say this for Saquon, it's not really all him. The Eagles have this thing where once they lose an offensive coordinator, the next guy up usually doesn't rise to the occasion. That happened when Steichen left a couple of years ago, and they hired somebody that didn't do well. Kellen Moore had to come in and right the ship last year. Now he's gone, and now the guy who's doing it this year, they don't really have an identity. So it's not all Saquon, but yeah, we talked about that. So I guess it's Drake May, but I expected a leap for Drake, top 5 maybe. I was thinking maybe next year, but I will say he is there. I think once you get, especially in fantasy, once you get a quarterback who's playing as well as he is, everybody on that team becomes relevant. And you have to target those guys. It doesn't matter if it's the 3rd receiver, the 4th receiver, the 2nd tight end. It just doesn't matter because they are the rising tide. If you can get a top 5 quarterback in fantasy, and Drake is playing like it, and I'm not even sure we're even close to what his actual ceiling is.
We're talking with Eddie Brown, who writes for the San Diego Union Tribune, covers the NFL draft, and is also our fantasy football expert. Let's talk some running backs. Bijan Robinson on pace to challenge Chris Johnson's single-season scrimmage yards record. Is that sustainable? Are we about to see some regression there from a fantasy standpoint?
No, I think it's sustainable, which is kind of scary, right? Like, I mean, I think last year was his floor in his prime, which is like 1,900 total yards and like 15 touchdowns or something like that. I think he's that talented. We knew he was that talented coming out of college. It was all about how it was going to work out with Atlanta. It got off to a little bit of a slow start because they kind of eased him in, and they have Tyler Algier there, and they want to give him opportunities too because he's a good running back in his own right, but he's obviously not Bijan. I think it's completely sustainable. He worked out with Christian McCaffrey in the offseason. I think that's the guy he patterns himself after. And he's doing a lot of Christian McCaffrey things right now. So if he stays healthy and they keep that offense is also kind of still finding its way because they have a young quarterback as well in Michael Penix. So I'm not even sure we've seen that. I mean, last week Monday night felt like it was like, oh, this is his ceiling game. Well, maybe not. He's that good of a player.
Let's talk about the waiver priority. You had Kimani Vidal as your top pickup this week. What do you like about his situation, and could this be a longer-term ad rather than just a one-week fill-in?
Well, I think it's an ad until Hampton comes back. So definitely the next at least 3 games. He was, somebody we kind of identified coming out of college, great receiver out of the backfield, tough running back through the line. So it's one of those things to where we were wondering, we were playing, any, meeny, miny, mo between him and Hassan Haskins last week. And I think a lot of people were thinking, well, Haskins, probably because he has the history with, Harbaugh. My thought process was Haskins in standard leagues, just in case him and Vidal split carries and Vidal in PPR leagues. But it was Kimani who got basically the entire run. And I think he ended up with like 21 total touches. So that offense, I mean, they're going to need to get the ball out quick with the injury issues they have on the offensive line. So he's a great receiver out of the backfield. And I think that's somewhere where he can really shine going forward, at least until Hampton comes back.
We're talking with Eddie Brown, who writes for the San Diego Union Tribune. He's our fantasy football expert. We have him on each and every Thursday to get you ready for the fantasy football weekend. Sam Darnold, suddenly quarterback 6 since week 2. Is he actually playable the rest of the way, or is it just a hot stretch in a favorable schedule for Sam Darnold?
I think he's playable most weeks. This week, however, is not one of those weeks because he's going up against the Texans, even though he's at home. Normally, I would favor him at home. But, man, the Texans have been just brutal against quarterbacks. They've allowed the fewest points in fantasy to the position. They haven't allowed a TD pass since week 2. So there has to be better options out there if you're streaming quarterbacks than Sam this week. But I think he's the real deal. I think the Sam Darnold that we saw last year is the Sam Darnold he's going to be for the foreseeable future. I think he's somebody who's capable of playing at a decent level. He's capable of having spike weeks, and occasionally he'll have a stinker. But for the most part, that means you should roster him in fantasy. And if you're, scrambling to, fill the quarterback for your team that week, he's usually one of the top options to fill the need.
Dallas Cowboys getting receiver back. CeeDee Lamb is expected to be back soon for the Dallas Cowboys. George Pickens has been wide receiver 1 in Dallas since CeeDee Lamb went down. How real is that breakout, and does his value hold with CeeDee Lamb coming back?
Well, I think the breakout is real. I don't think the opportunity is going to be there with CD, coming back. I just think that's one of those things to where CeeDee Lamb is the wide receiver 1 there. Everybody knows that. I think George knows that because they asked him if, hey, you're going to resign. He's a free agent in the offseason. You're going to resign. He's like, well, yeah, that sounds good, but he wants to be featured. So it's one of those things to where I think with CD out, Pickens has been the wide receiver number 1 in fantasy, and in both standard and PPR. But when Lamb was healthy, he was wide receiver 32 in standard and wide receiver 33 in PPR. So he's still going to have wide receiver 3 flex upside every week. That offense is going to be throwing the ball a lot. That defense is just insanely terrible. So he still has value in fantasy, but he's not going to be the wide receiver 1 as long as CeeDee Lamb's on that field.
We're getting close to fantasy trade deadline time. And so we'll finish with this, Eddie. Let's finish with your fantasy forecast. One player that you'd buy low on right now, and one big name guy that you'd sell high before you get to the fantasy trade deadline.
I'm not sure if it's buying low, but I don't think you'll have to pay full price either. I think a guy I would go out there and try to get is Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt for the Commanders. There's still, he's coming off a bad week against the Chargers, but obviously we saw what he could do the previous week. There's still some veteran running backs there that you could probably sell on the idea that they're going to probably take a little bit of usage from him. But the Commanders have the number 1 schedule overall versus running backs going forward. I think Krosky-Merritt is going to be the guy who gets the ball. And I think he's going to have a lot of success in that offense. I'm selling Kamara. I'm selling DeAndre Swift. I think Kamara might get traded. We're not sure where he will end up. I think Kyle Monungai, a very talented rookie out of Rutgers, is starting to kind of eat into Swift's playing time. We didn't see it last week. He had a really good game as far as production-wise. But I think as the year goes on, Monungai is going to take more of those snaps. So Swift coming off of a really great game, I think this is peak value.
And there you have it. Another report with Eddie Brown talking fantasy football each and every Thursday. Eddie, appreciate the time. Enjoy the Bengals and Steelers game tonight.
Always a good time, Braden. You take care.
Eddie Brown joining us on the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline as we talk fantasy football with Eddie Brown each and every Thursday. Had to move him up a little bit today because Andres Dreyer will be joining us today at 1:20. Andres Dreyer, the winger for San Diego FC, coming off of an international stint, now back with San Diego FC, getting ready for decision day on Saturday. San Diego can either be the 1 seed, the 2 seed, or the 3 seed in the MLS Cup playoffs, which will start not too much further after this weekend. So get you everything you need to know about San Diego FC in the 1 o'clock hour. When we come back, we're going to get to our college picks. We're going to have to get the picks from Skylar remotely on a different day. So we'll talk college football in the next hour. We'll talk with Andres Dreyer, finish up the show, kind of recapping some Padres stuff as well. AC Money takes away his foul because you got Andres Dreyer on the show. There you go, Frank. I'm glad you guys have broken bread and held hands and sang Kumbaya. He had to log into YouTube to give you the foul in the cocktail cocktail class.
This is why you never jump to conclusions.
1 o'clock hour coming up next. Talking college football with all of you. San Diego's Urban Sports Station 97 through the Fan. All right. Did I forget to send the picks to Skyler? You betcha. You betcha.
I think it was a lack of.
I was still writing the picks.
Yeah,
down,
exactly. It was more the picks weren't done yet.
I have all the games done now. Skyler, well, you know what? Not my fault she decided to take another vacation. I want to know.
You need a Jet 2 holiday every now and again. I don't know what to tell you.
She just gets it all the time, apparently. Apparently. We don't even know where she is. Where in the world is Skyler? Needs to be a new segment. I think it needs to be a new segment. Where in the world is Skyler?
Another Jet 2 holiday.
Yeah, there she is. Not here again. You know, we bring her in to do the picks. She gets the lead, and then she's like,
yeah, then she just dips on us. That's cool.
I wonder if she's in Alabama. That would be my guess. You know what? I thought about the exotic locations that she's usually at. But you know what? It could be Alabama. It is the third Saturday in October, Frank.
I mean, and it also depends on where you are. Alabama could be an exotic destination, depending upon where you are.
There's no logic to that. Have you ever been to Alabama?
No.
Neither have I. Do I have any interest in going to Alabama? Can't say I really do. But you know what? Maybe for a college football
That's why
game.
I said exotic destination.
To who exactly? The people in Mississippi? Shots fired at Mississippi. Remember the last time I made fun of a state? I got somebody got super pissed off. I destroyed the state of Indiana, saying it is such a waste of a state because I just drive through. There's nothing there. I've driven through that entire state. There was nothing. It was just flat and like maybe a couple of trees, and that was it.
That's
and
honestly,
and the guy was just like, the Notre Dame fan was so incensed. We have at South Bend, Indiana is a great place. I'd go there all the time. I said, aside from college football, I remember I said that. Aside from college football, there's no reason to go to Indiana. And you know what he said? You remember the chat he has? He was all upset about Indiana. He said, I would go to Notre Dame. I had season tickets for Notre Dame Fighting Irish football. I'd go there all the time. It's a great time. And I'm like, you proved my point, buddy. There's nothing to do in Indiana aside from college football. I would say Alabama's probably up there. What's there to do in Alabama besides pretend like you're Forrest Gump? I mean, there's nothing to do in Alabama. I like to categorize it as...
Don't rip on Alabama, especially when Talladega's this weekend.
No, my mistake. Talladega's this weekend. Don't make me hit a nerve with Frank.
That's another
NASCAR
segment we have to do. That's another segment like we had with the Texas A&M stuff yesterday, the Texas A&M police force yesterday.
Is Talladega the one that had like the party the night before?
That is like Talladega Boulevard.
Oh, God.
Talladega Speedway.
That is not for air.
Talladega Super Speedway puts up a list of everything that was left on Talladega Boulevard the day after the race.
They had like the dance off, but it wasn't like dancing. It was more like
people have
throwing
left
singles up there.
People have left full on living room sets on Talladega Boulevard.
Like I said, why would I be going to Alabama? I'm just saying, like, this is the best way to, honestly, what's the criteria for a great college town, Frank? A great college town. Would you ever take a vacation there if it wasn't for that college town's sporting event? I think that makes a great college town discussion.
That's not bad. That's a good starting point.
Let's talk about some of the college towns. Like, has anybody taken a vacation to Oxford, Mississippi? Anybody? Like, does anybody have any desire to be like, you know what? Like, you're in your 30s, you got a couple of young kids, it's spring break around, spring break for their school. Hey, honey, let's go to Oxford, Mississippi. But let's not go to an Ole Miss baseball game. Let's go do something in Oxford, Mississippi. Can't say anybody's really taking a vacation there unless they absolutely have to be there.
I think
good college town.
A good college town, I think, is a place that doesn't have an international airport. or at least a regional airport or something, somewhere where you have to like actually go out of your way to get there.
You have to drive an hour
Yes.
from the airport?
Yeah.
All right. Add that to the list. I think it's a place that we never take a vacation to. Like I with
what comes with not being able to take a vacation there? No airport.
I mean, there's a lot of places that have airports that don't have anything going on. Like I would consider like Morgantown. It's close to Pittsburgh. But like Morgantown, like why would anybody go to Morgantown aside to watch West Virginia play some type of sporting event? I guess to go in the woods? Go make moonshine, maybe? When we went to Morgantown, I was like, this is a cool place that I would never spend my own money to go to. I thought the same thing about Ames, Iowa. Why would I ever go to Ames, Iowa? Is there a reason to go to Ames, Iowa? Is there a reason to go to Iowa in general? I've been to Iowa 3 times. No, twice. I've been to Iowa twice. And both times I was in Iowa, there was really no reason to stay in Iowa.
Corn is always interesting.
I'm not taking a vacation for corn. You know what? At least Iowa has, you know what? I lied. At least Iowa has Field of Dreams and stuff. There's something, like there's something you can go to in Iowa. The Dakotas, maybe just South Dakota with Mount Rushmore.
There's only one Dakota.
There's 2. I've been to them, and they disagree with you. There's
North
definitely
Dakota
a division.
North Dakota is a myth. There's only
I've been to
one
North Dakota. I've been to North Dakota. I don't know why I'd ever go to North Dakota. I'm glad I got to check that off the list. North Dakota. I got to North Dakota.
Did you get one of those? I do know a little bit about Dakota. In the northern part of Dakota, they sell you, if you go into one of those tourist traps, because they know that most people leave it as their last state to go to if they go to all 50 states. They sell you like a best for last bumper sticker or like a magnet.
That's nice.
Because it's your last state. I'm guessing you didn't get one of those.
It wasn't my last state. I was also with the football team, and we flew in to a landing strip. I was surprised the jet fit, and then we jumped on a bus, and we went to the Alaris Center for the walkthrough, and then the hotel was attached to the Alaris Center. That was basically all I did. And then I went to the hotel bar the Friday night, and since we had a football game that I couldn't coach in, I set up the stream off the Huddle camera, and I watched on my phone at a bar in North Dakota. Very lovely people. I will say that. But again, that is not a place I would take a family vacation.
Again, it's the northern part of Dakota. It's not
unless
North
you're on
Dakota.
an RV trip and you had to check off some states. But I think about that for a lot of these cities, right? College towns. I wouldn't really consider El Paso like a good college town, though. I've been to El Paso. It's a major city. I don't know why anybody would go to El Paso except to watch the Chihuahuas play or the Miners.
Norman, Oklahoma.
I'd add that to the list. There's no reason for me to go to Norman. I've been there twice. I don't need to go back. There's nothing to do in Norman. Skylar gave her her picks already.
Well, that's helpful.
So we'll be able to do that in the 135 spot. Who else? Give me another college town. Like TCU's not Fort Worth's not a college town. It's a major city. There's a lot of stuff you could do there. You could take a vacation in Fort Worth. You could do stuff in Dallas. Not a college town.
What
about Tucson? Like, here's the thing about Tucson. Like Tucson, like if Arizona, the University of Arizona did not exist, like that would be the entire economy for Tucson. Like there's not a lot really going on in Tucson. U of A kind of is the reason why you would go to Tucson. But also, they got good golf there. They have an international airport. They have Star Pass, which is lovely. They got you can go hike Mount Lemon. I mean, there's some stuff to do in Tucson.
My younger brother lives there, which kind of knocks it down a peg.
They have the movie studios. You would think you're close to Tombstone. You're not really close to Tombstone. But you know what? There's stuff to do in Tucson. Like it's like an iffy college town. But at the same time, like the only reason why people are actually there is because they have U of A.
I mean, you have College Station.
What about Pullman? Would you ever have a reason to go to Pullman, Washington if it wasn't for Washington State?
Nope.
Any reason at all? Zero. That is a college town. Lubbock, Texas. I will tell you right now, when I did go to Lubbock, I didn't want to go back ever again. We even won the game. It's not even like I was bitter we lost. We beat Patrick Mahomes that night. No interest in going back to Lubbock. There is nothing to do there. Nothing. I cannot believe that kids actually go to Texas Tech. I can't believe it. Aside from maybe playing in athletics. I mean, why would you go live? I guess for the Texans, it's to get away from their families, to go to the desert and drink or something like that. But there is no reason to go to Lubbock.
Where does Middle Tennessee play?
They're like north of Nashville.
Yeah, that's
no,
too
south. They're
close.
south. Sorry, they're south of Nashville. They're
Too
south
close
of
to-
Nashville. It's
too close to Nashville.
Too close to Nashville. Same thing with Bowling Green, Kentucky. For Big Red, they're like 45 minutes from Nashville. Laramie, Wyoming. I don't know. Laramie is not like Wyoming's not. You go camping in Wyoming.
Yeah,
it's not
Wyoming.
a beautiful.
Yeah.
Not really a college town. Baton Rouge. Would you ever go to Baton Rouge? Why would you go to Baton Rouge for anything besides LSU? Have you been to Baton Rouge? I've been to Baton
No.
Rouge. I didn't want to stay there very long. I can tell you that. Ann Arbor, Michigan. You taking a vacation to Ann Arbor?
No.
Good college town. Utah plays in Salt Lake City. It's a big city. Arizona State plays in Tempe.
no.
Big city. Boulder, Colorado Boulder. College town? No. You could go do a lot of things in Boulder. Ames, Iowa? Yeah, it's a place.
Where does Colorado State play?
Fort Collins. College town.
Yeah.
Why would you go to Fort Collins for anything? You have to, because you have to fly to Denver. Denver's
See the fort.
What about? Denver's airport is basically in Kansas. You have to drive an hour just to get to Denver, let alone even further to go up to Fort Collins.
Flew over Denver once.
How was that? Good experience for you? What about Eugene, Oregon? Drake told me they're making Eugene look more like Portland right now. Is Eugene a college town? I feel like it probably used to be a college town.
Yeah, I would say it's becoming more of a city. I
becoming more of a
thought
city.
thought Eugene also, but
Urbana-Champaign, Illinois. College town.
Manhattan, Kansas.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Why would you ever go to Manhattan? Those are the two cities in the Big 12 I did not go to was Lawrence and Manhattan. Why would you ever go to either of those cities aside from Jayhawk basketball and K-State football? There's no reason to. Provo, Utah. Not really a college town.
No, there's stuff to do in
There's
Provo.
stuff to do in Provo.
Isn't? Oh no, that's
Knoxville, Tennessee, college town. Ain't nothing to do in Knoxville.
No,
I'm
that's
going to
New
tell you that right now.
Mexico. It's not.
Las Cruces or Albuquerque? Las Cruces, college town. I would never go to Las Cruces for anything.
No, I was thinking when you said Provo, I was thinking, Provo's isn't Provo Area 51?
No.
That is New
51
Mexico.
Area 51 is outside of Vegas.
Okay.
You're thinking of Roswell,
That's
New
it.
Mexico. You're
That's what I'm thinking
Roswell,
of.
New
Yes,
Mexico.
I'm thinking of
No.
Roswell. Yes.
Knoxville does not have a lot to do. As somebody whose brother went to the University of Tennessee, he said, trust me, ain't nothing to do out here aside from volunteer football and volunteer sports. They do have the Tennessee Smokies now, but yeah, a lot of townies in Knoxville. It's not a place you're taking a family vacation to. Reno, not a college town. They got casinos next to Lake Tahoe. I mean, I think the rule of would you take a family vacation there if it wasn't for the sporting event there? I think that's probably a good call. I think a second close one is the international airport thing, Frank. Why would anybody go to Waco? Magnolia Farms. That's it.
I could tell you one place that is not a college not a college town, nor is it a big, I guess, sports town, I guess would say. That'd be Bramming, Denmark, which is where our guest in the next segment is from.
And we're going to get to that. Gainesville, Florida, I was asked. There you go. Gainesville, too. When we come back, Anders Dreyer from Static UFC will join us on the Braden Surprenant Show. Setting Someone Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. 119 on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All guests on 97.3 The Fan join us via the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. Facing criminal charges, trust David P. Shapiro Criminal Defense Attorneys, helping clients regain control since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. We're expecting a phone call from Anders Dreyer, San Diego FC winger. Obviously getting ready for decision day coming up on Saturday for San Diego FC. Getting ready for playoff soccer. I noticed the playoff baseball on the screen in front of me. Toronto and Seattle. That series is 2-1 in favor of the Seattle Mariners. We'll talk some San Diego FC for you right here with Anders Dreyer as soon as he calls in. Again, he's traveling back. Frank, he's traveling back from his international stint.
Yes, and I just got a text from their PR rep that they're about 5 minutes late. So we got a couple minutes here.
All right. You can fill us in then on how big the weekend is for decision day in the MLS, Frank.
It's big.
Yes. How big for San Diego FC?
It's a properly big weekend. So for San Diego FC, let me discard this tweet for the third time now.
Correction, he's going to be on it this time. Ha! Joke's on you. He's not actually coming on.
No, don't say that. He is. Okay. So according to what San Diego FC put out, this was a couple of days ago. For San Diego FC, if they win versus Portland, if they want to get the number one seed in the West, which means that they will play the winner of the play-in game between, I believe it's Dallas and Real Salt Lake, I believe. If they win against Portland, they need the Vancouver Whitecaps to lose to FC Dallas in order to get the number one seed, which would be incredible. Naturally, for an inaugural season, if they draw against Portland, they will need to get. They'll be going for the number 2 seed, which means that they will need LAFC to either lose or draw against Colorado. Hold on, I got to do the squirrel. I just saw Angie,
the dog.
Yes, Angie's Chemo's dog.
Things that are easily distracted for Frank.
Yep.
Dogs, trains, planes.
As I said,
you can infer what you want to infer with that information. Moving on. All right,
I can draw.
Nice. Good job. Good for you, buddy.
LAFC needs to draw or lose in order for San Diego to get the second seed if they draw on Saturday against Portland. If LAFC wins against Colorado, then the best they could do is the third seed. So it will be either a 1, 2, or 3 seed. The only way they can get the 1 seed is if they win and if Vancouver loses to FC Dallas. FC Dallas is going to be playing for a playoff spot. They're going to be playing to try to get out of that play-in game.
Right, because they have 41 points right now. Can they pass Portland?
If
they win, they get 3 points, right? So they puts them at 44?
Yes.
And if Portland loses to San Diego, then they're tied at 44. Would Dallas get the tiebreaker?
I believe it goes to goal differential. I believe that's how it would go in European soccer. I'm not sure how.
Do they do head-to-head at all in MLS?
There is. Europe does head-to-head. It does head-to-head, but it counts after goal differential. What's the goal differential? I do not know off the top of my head.
That'd be GD, right?
Yes.
-3 for Portland, -4 for Dallas as of right now.
Okay, so Dallas
would have to win by.
Yeah, Dallas would need to win by 2 goals, I think.
Right.
In order for if that is
they're -1 compared to Portland, which means they'd have to
win by 2.
Win by 2.
If goal differential is the tiebreaker for the MLS. So that is the only way. If you win, you have a chance at getting the number 1 overall seed. So you need Dallas to really fight for that playoff spot against Vancouver in order to keep Vancouver from getting the number 1 seed. You're going to get home field advantage either way in this opening round. It's just a matter of where you are seated in this
this opening round. Regular season tiebreakers, total wins. Yep.
Yeah.
goal differential, goals scored, goals conceded,
Well, total
disciplinary
wins.
points.
Total wins is different than points, though.
It says total wins.
So total wins would probably be first. So then who has?
So you would, if they tied at 44, so Dallas would get an extra win. They'd have 11 wins. Portland would have 11 wins. Then you would go to
So
goal
then it would go to
differential.
goal differential, which means then you need.
They would have to
then you
win
need
by
to win
two.
by two.
Correct. So they'd have to win by 2, and that would put Dallas into a position where they don't have to play in the opening round and play Real Salt Lake or Colorado, who can also get that spot too. And then that way, then if they do that, then they would get out of that spot, and San Diego with a win would get the number 1 seed, and then would be in a position to either face Dallas versus Real Salt Lake, or Dallas versus Colorado, or Portland versus Real Salt Lake, or Portland versus Colorado. That's kind of your options if they get the 1 seed. If San Diego gets the 2, right? If they win, they automatically get the 2, correct?
Yes, if they win, they are automatically at least second, and that's a very good. That's a good point there that you made as far as who's in, who's out. Portland is already in the playoffs.
Correct.
They know that. They are going to be fighting to stay out of that.
Correct.
Out of that play-in game. Dallas and Colorado are fighting to make the playoffs. So that with Dallas playing Vancouver and Colorado playing LAFC, there's no guarantee that those teams are going to roll over for the opponent for their opponent.
Correct. So it's an interesting decision day. Is going to be fun in the MLS, and as mentioned before, so if San Diego were to win and get the 2 seed, they would be potentially playing Portland. But again, if they beat Portland, it could be Dallas. It could be, so there's a lot of different options for, there's a lot of different scenarios that are going to play out on Saturday this weekend in the MLS for San Diego FC. So,
but basically all you need to really know is you're in. You can't get lower than 3rd. If you win against Portland, it's 1st or 2nd. That is your basic go of it right now.
Portland is playing to not have to play in the play-in.
Yes.
Anders ready? All right, we're going to get to Anders Dreyer, San Diego FC winger, joining us now on the Braden Surprenant Show. He's coming back from some international play, so getting back to the United States. Anders, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. It's nice to be back. Sun is shining. It's nice weather.
Well, we appreciate you having you on the show. I know you just spent some time with the international period. How did that go for you individually? And how was the flight back to sunny San Diego?
Individually, it was, I think, of course, I wanted to play more, but the minutes I played, I think, was 25, but I scored 2 goals, and I was happy for that. Always nice to score for the national team. It's always special. And then, flight back in training yesterday, and had a full session today, and ready to go for Portland away.
Now, this is common for soccer players. This is something that is familiar for you and playing on a lot of teams at the same time. But, out here in the United States, that's not a very common thing to see, playing on multiple teams at the same time in different seasons. What is that like as a soccer player, flipping from the Belgian national club to San Diego FC to being on loan, all these different teams that you become a part of over the year, where you're obviously working for your own personal goals, but obviously the goals of multiple teams at different times. What's that like as a player, having to transition to different teams throughout the year?
Of course, I think it's not easy always. I think now I have a family as well, and they have to settle in a new city, a new country. And I think I tried a lot, and of course I'm 27 years old. I'm getting older, but yeah, it's nice to try different things, and I also think that's why I love being here in San Diego, and family loves it, and I think that's the most important when everything outside the pitch is going smooth and well, then it become a little bit easier to, I think, perform on the pitch because your head is like 100% in thinking about football and not something else like outside the pitch. So I think, of course, that's very important, and that's something I'm very happy here in San Diego. Of course, that there are, of course, a lot of other Danish guys, but also outside football to do something else than football.
Anders Dreyer is a member of the Danish national team. He was sold by a Belgian club to San Diego FC, has been on an absolute tear in the MLS this season, joining us on the Braden Surprenant Show. I mean, I mentioned your family. You said 27 feeling old, man. I'm 30. You're going to make me feel really old at this point in time. What's it like living in San Diego for you? What are some of you've been here now a little bit longer. It's a little bit different than when we asked you earlier in the season, but as you've gotten to live in this town, what's your favorite part about San Diego that does not involve football?
The beaches. I love the weather and of course the food. It's amazing. The tacos. It's so nice, and it's totally different compared to Belgium, where I just came from, and of course Denmark. So it's nice, and I always had a dream of playing somewhere where the weather was good, and in San Diego you can't complain about that. It's incredible and it's nice.
Of course, you can't complain about the tacos, Anders. Of course, that's
No,
a big thing here for sure.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing.
Well, hopefully, when you go back to to play for the Danish national team, I don't know, you got to pick up some recipes, share it with your friends on your team to try to show them what it's like with some of the tacos out here.
Yeah, but I'm not the best at cooking myself, so I have to bring them over so they can really taste the real deal.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure it's great to visit San Diego any time of the year to show them the sunshine, the beaches, and the tacos. Let's talk shop. Let's talk football. Let's talk what San Diego FC has in front of them here. Now, obviously, you're part of an expansion team. This is the first year in the existence. You guys have accomplished a lot of great things, and the season is wrapping up on Saturday with Decision Day in MLS. A win gets you at least the 2 seed. Knowing your coach, Mikey Varis, and the way that you guys have played, I know you want to try to get that 1 seed as much as possible. What do the Portland Timbers put in your path this weekend that you're going to have to deal with that is preventing you from maybe getting the 1 seed?
First of all, I think we always go on the pitch that we want to win the games. And I think especially away from home, it's been quite good. A lot of points. Of course, we just played against Portland at home, 0-0 game where I think we had 2 goals cancelled by VAR or offside. So I think it's gonna be a tough game. I think every game in the MLS. I think from me just joining the MLS, it's tough. It's good opponents, and it's all about staying ready. Because if not, then you just lose the games. So I think for us Saturday to go into the game and bring that, I think especially second half from Houston into the game from first minute, it's gonna be important and show that after 2 weeks of break from international that we're capable of making a strong away performance again and take 3 points and see where that's going to put us in the league table. Of course, we know that there is another result that has to be going our way to get the first place. But listen, I think we have to think just about ourselves and go there, get 3 points, and see what it brings.
There's a lot of different situations out there in terms of opponents in the playoffs and everything and seeding, and it's a decision day for sure in San Diego for San Diego FC, but also in the MLS. What is guaranteed, you guys are in the playoffs and you're going to have a home game. How important is it for you guys to be able to play in front of the home crowd in that first round of the playoffs? How much of San Diego do you feed off of, and what's it like playing in front of this town that has now gotten soccer at the highest professional level we can for the first time?
Yeah, listen, I think when you say it like that, I have the feeling like in my stomach that it's that first regular season game away from home in Galaxy, like now in in 2 weeks or so we're playing our the history, like the first club game in playoff for this club, and that's gonna be different. That's gonna be so nice. I haven't tried this way of playoff, but I have tried playoffs in Denmark and Belgium as well, and the games are just different. And playing in front of our amazing fans, the first playoff game in the history of the club, I already know now that it's gonna be magical and something that the club will not forget. So of course, first now we look at Portland, but of course when we get closer and closer to that first playoff game, it's gonna be nice. And I think that maybe a little bit more nervous before the game than usual. But that's nice, and that's when you're nervous, you know that there's something on stake and something that you have a stage where you can perform and show yourself. And I think this team is ready for it, and the group is ready to go to play off with a lot of hunger and a lot of hope for success.
Last thing I got for you, Anders, is personal. I mean, you have had a great year in the MLS. You mentioned earlier in the interview about how difficult the MLS has been and some challenging, and it's been fun. But, I mean, you've been a very prolific scorer. You've had a great season for San Diego FC. How would you evaluate how this season has been for you personally? And what has been some of the keys to your success, at least so far in the season and before you get to the playoffs, that you pride yourself the most in?
First of all, it's been a good season for me personally. A lot of goals, a lot of assists, and of course playing on a good team helps a lot. And like I said, always, I think you can never win a game 1 against 11. You have to have teammates, and I have some incredible teammates who is helping me the way that I love to play football, and I'm trying to help them. So I think that mix and that has been very, very good. And I think just in general, it's been funny, and the time goes so quick when you enjoy what you're doing. And I think the last year I've really enjoyed a new challenge for me, a new journey, and try something new with an expansion team. It's not all like often you see guys who is trying to get to a club where there's no history. So it's nice and something I'm really, really proud of so far, personally, but also for the team, that's what we have done. But yeah, now I'm looking forward to that Saturday game against Portland away, getting the 3 points, and then we're ready for playoffs.
I mean, you've been in the conversation of MVP in the league. There's a lot of great players in this league, Anders. I mean, you're in the same conversation as players like Messi in this league. I mean, what does that mean to you, being considered, some of the greats, not only in this league, but with a lot of great players that do play in this league?
No, I think, to be honest, I'm not thinking so much about that. For me, I said it the first day I arrived here in San Diego, that if we win every game 1-0 and I don't score, I don't care, because I want to win things with the team. For me, that's the most important thing. And looking back at a career where you win things, it's incredible, and I hope that we can take it to that place. Of course, to be compared with the top players in this league, it's nice, and we will see what's going to happen. But no matter what, I've been proud of myself so far and the team this season.
Anders, I've taken you long enough. I know you got meetings to get to. I know you got to get back dialed in, get ready for the Portland Timbers. Thanks again for the time. Good luck the rest of the way. Continued success. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Anders Dreyer, the winger for San Diego FC, joining us on the David P. Shapiro fan hotline. A great conversation we had with him, as San Diego FC has got a big game against Portland coming up this weekend on the road, and then it's decision day, same day, and we'll see where they land in the playoffs and who they're going to draw in the first round of the playoffs. When we come back, get you to the college picks, finish up the show. San Diego Someone Sports Station 97 through the Fan. Final segment of the Braden Surprenant Show. Live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's Urban Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. Big thank you to San Diego FC and Anders Dreyer for joining us today on the Braden Surprenant Show. It is time to get you the fantasy. Yeah, it's usually the time we do fantasy football. It is time to get you the college football picks with Skylar, who's not here. Fire up the music. Wow, that's loud. Somebody's excited for college football.
It's got to start loud and then it comes down. Relax.
Okay. I'm upset with Skylar because she's not in Tuscaloosa. She's not in an exotic location. She's hanging out with our arch nemesis this week. Do you know what that is?
Is it the MOUSE?
Yes, it's the mouse. How dare she? We're mad at the mouse. I'm mad at the mouse. What a lousy game time we got picked for this weekend. Cost me a trip to Texas. And you know what? What does Skylar do? She decides to go hang out with the mouse today. That's disrespectful.
That is. That's
so
bad.
we were so anti the mouse, and now are we gonna be anti Skylar? I don't know.
No, we're not going to be anti Skylar.
No, we're not. It's not going to be anti Skylar. It can't be anti Skylar. Well,
how is she going to fly the winner to wherever they want to go?
That's right. Yeah, that's
for anti Skylar.
It's okay. We'll start off with that game that the mouse screwed up by picking it for ESPN2 at 9 a.m. TCU's favored by 2.5. Homecoming game against Baylor. They're unveiling new uniforms, or should I say new helmets this weekend. Can't wait to watch them on TV and not see them in person. Thank you, mouse. I'll take the Frogs against David Wu's Baylor Bears, Frank.
I'm going to go with the Horny Toads. I'll take TCU in this game.
Good. Skylar's also taking the Horned Frogs against Baylor, 9 a.m. on ESPN2. I've been disappointed in this game before, so it could also potentially happen. David Fu. I picked Baylor too to being my alma mater, but objectively TCU wins. Thank you, David. One just picking Baylor just to be that guy. Anyway, LSU at Vanderbilt in Nashville, Tennessee. Not a college town, Frank.
No, not a college town.
Vandy's favored by 2.5, 9 a.m. on ABC. Skylar's taking LSU. I'm going to take LSU also. I don't think LSU is as good as 10 in the country, but I think they're better than Vanderbilt, who might be a little fake good. I'm also anti-Diego Pavia, so I'm taking the Tigers. I'm taking the Bayou Bengals. Yes.
I'm gonna. I've rode with them a couple times. I think Vandy's gonna keep it. No, I'm not.
Keep it closer to their host.
No,
they
it's
have
LSU. LSU's winning this game.
That's right. Boomer Sooner at South Carolina, who is the Grim Reaper of teams that have success in the SEC. All great seasons go to die when they take on the Gamecocks in Columbia, South Carolina. Oklahoma's favored by 5.5. I'm going to take the Gamecocks. I think they make this close. I think they ruin Oklahoma's season. 9:45 on SEC Network.
I'm going Boomer Sooner.
Boomer. By the way, this is the easiest game remaining for Boomer Sooner the rest of the way. It's going to get only worse.
Which means it's my last chance to pick them, so I'm taking it.
Also true. Maybe this will be the Brent Venables curse since he decided to poke a fight with the Big 12, and then the Big 12 made fun of him and on their official Twitter account, and then everybody in Norman got all upset about it. Come on, man. Be better. Ole Miss at Georgia, College Game Day, 12:30 on ABC. Georgia's favored by 7 in the hook against Lane's crew. Skylar took Oklahoma in that last game. She's taking Lane Kiffin in this one. Plus 7.5.
I'm going to go with Ole Miss. They've shown me something this year. I believe in them. I'll take Ole Miss.
I'm taking Georgia at home after Ole Miss almost lost to Wazoo at home. I think Georgia covers the 7.5 point spread. Ole Miss hasn't lost yet. Yeah, we're going to go with Georgia. UNLV at Boise State. It's a good one in the Mountain West Conference. Boise State's favored by 12.5 at 12:30 on Fox Sports 1. I'll take the Broncos. Skylar's taking the Broncos. UNLV is 6-0, but they have just survived a lot of games.
It's
on the Smurf turf.
I'm going with UNLV in this game.
Wow.
I think that's a big spread, I feel, and Boise State has shown very little that they're the team of old. I'm going to go with UNLV.
They're not the team of old, but you know who else is not the team of old is UNLV right
Maybe
now.
Not to win, but I will take them. I will pick them to cover.
Texas Tech, Red Raiders. Bang, bang, Red Raiders. They're at Arizona State, 1 o'clock on Fox. Red Raiders are favored by 7.5 on the road. 6-0. Texas Tech, Arizona State's 4-2. Sam Leavitt has been cleared to play for the Sun Devils. I think Texas Tech's one of the best teams in the country. I think playing in Tempe might be a problem for them. Maybe the games, if they don't lose this game, they ain't losing the rest of the year. I got Arizona State plus 7.5 at home. I think they keep it close at home. I think they do. I think it's hard to cover that many points on the road, even if you're Texas Tech. I'm going to take the Sun Devils. 1 o'clock on Fox. I don't think they win, but I think they cover. It's a tough game. That's going to be a good one. Sam Leavitt's back. Game. Arizona State just got ran out of the building by Utah, who Tech destroyed.
What was Sam Leavitt out for again?
I forget. I think he had Padres stuff he had to do.
Yeah, that's it. I'm going to go with Texas Tech.
Wilbur says yuck on the Arizona State pick by me. I know. I kind of need it to happen for chaos in the Big 12. I have convinced myself that TCU could still make the conference championship at 10-2. I figured it out.
I'm going with Texas Tech.
Skylar's going with the tortillas as well. Iowa at Penn State. I think Penn State wins. They never win in Iowa. I think they win with their interim head coach. I think they win for James Franklin. I think they give Penn State a false sense of hope, their fans. I think they beat the Iowa Hawkeyes. I'll take them plus 3.5.
If Penn State is going to wants to show any form of competency, this is a must-win game for them. I'm taking the Nittany Lions.
Skylar says, "The hell with your Nittany Lions. Give me the Hawkeyes." I think she said that specifically. In the
everybody remember to wave after the first quarter.
USC at Notre Dame. Notre Dame by 9.5, 4:30 on NBC. I think the Trojans keep it closer than that, but I think Notre Dame wins.
So you're
Skylar's taking
USC?
the Trojans. Yeah, we're both taking the Trojans.
You know what? I'm going to pick Notre Dame on this game.
They got gold pants, Frank. Is that a problem?
I guess
SC's got yellow pants. That's the yellow pant versus gold pant matchup.
Not as bad as the Chargers.
Tennessee at Alabama. Alabama by 7.5, 4:30 on ABC. I'll take the Crimson Tide. I've seen enough Tennessee games. I don't think it's going to be the case. Now, I hope Tennessee wins because I think my brother's going to go to the Alabama watch party with his boys, all wearing Tennessee stuff at Moonshine Beach. God bless him. Go Vols. I just don't think they'll win. Go Vols.
I am under an obligation to say go Vols on this one. So that's
because
what
Skylar picked Iowa?
No. I have a friend who will do me bodily harm.
I'm still taking Alabama, but go Vols. We got one pick left, running out of time.
Yes, we are.
Skylar took Alabama, obviously. Utah, BYU. Utah by 3.5 on the road against the Cougs of BYU. 5 o'clock on Fox. I'll take the Utes. I think the Utes have played better than BYU. Had a scare with Wilbur last week in Tucson.
I'm going to go with BYU. I believe in them. Number 47 for a quarterback. I'll take it.
I need BYU to lose.
Take it every time.
Too, so we're moving on that. I take Utah. Skylar's taking BYU also. BYU's good. BYU's good. Utah's also good. Utah's only loss is the Texas Tech. Red Raiders are money.
I want my quarterbacks wearing psychotic numbers.
I don't. I also don't stop everything I'm doing to watch a train.
Shut up, man.
So
just because I could draw better than you doesn't mean that, shut up.
We'll pick up this conversation tomorrow. Gwen and Chris coming up next. Braden Surprenant Show. Standing Number Sports Station 97 to the Fan.